What we do here is go back. What we do here is go back. What we do here is go back.
Okay, let's see if that works. You never know, it might do. Possibly it might. Even all Mike's unboxing reviews and how to, I've got a frozen shoulder or something. I've got a headache over the side of my left eye. And it's, I think it's the shoulder. There, is that better? Is there still bees? Is the audio okay? Let's have a look. It's not bees, it's my UFO massage ball thing. That was it. From William Bodie, I should mention as well. Yes, my massager. That's good. I don't know, it's got some pain in my shoulder and it's really annoying. Review the device, Mike. Yeah, it's like I've trapped something down left hand side. It's quite annoying. This is quite nice though. There we go. Anyway, hopefully this will work in. Let's have a look, see if the overhead camera is working and moderately in focus. Oh no, it's got horrible motion blur again. Right, let's kill that a minute. That's better. The sound is low. Someone said? Yeah, no. Oh, sorry. Should be okay. Let's have a quick look at my settings. No, stream mic is on full blast, I believe. Let me have a look on the little
sound and audio spot on, Welly Bob.
Sound audio spot on. I can't remember which one is it. Is that up and down? That's down. So that is. Now that should be back on. Okay, that'll do. That'll do. Welly Bob audio. Yep, we're good. Excellent stuff. O'Reilly says, I agree. Sound and audio. Sound and audio spot on.
Nothing about visuals.
Yeah, don't worry about the visuals. As long as the sound is alright. That's all that matters. I've got my, my head torch ready for later on.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks, Rick. This thing's so bright, it's ridiculous. Funny though. Oh no, that's off. Got one setting for our Martian viewers. Hey, Otis, what you doing? Look at that. What's that? Otis has just woken up.
He's a bit wondering what that noise is, I think.
You wonder what the noise is? No, don't jump. Oh, there's a new cat toy in the making. Sorry about the noise. Probably upset the majority of the viewers now. Oh, God. Bloody cat's hairs all over me. Right, there we go. Yeah, we're good. Alessa says, I'm having a hard time seeing the stream. I think my bangs are too long.
Fringe.
Is that a bang?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh.
I was thinking it meant like your things.
Too low over her eyes.
Maybe you got them pulled up over. Can't see a thing.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I'm not involved. What do I know about hairstyles? Come on, give me a break. Otis, coming in? Come on, say hello. Say hello to the people. Come on, Otis. Show them how clever you are.
He's a bit tired, I think.
Tired right out, isn't he? Anyway. Aletta says, lol, I don't have enough to pull them over my eyes. Maybe over your feet. Ah, dear. Ugly Bob's coming with a super chat. Thank you, Bob. So mouse working? Yes, it is. It did drop.
What's that, Otis?
Is that working? Yes. Ugly Bob says, I put an ad in the paper. It simply said, wife wanted. I've had over 100 reply letters with all saying you can have mine. Ba-boom! Thank you, Bob. Oh, dear. Otis still looks half asleep. I don't know how he feels. It's been one of those weeks this week where the cats are starting to get a little bit more adventurous and kind of doing their own thing, and they can climb a little bit as well. So they've been climbing up onto our bed, and as nice as it is to have a little kitten kind of cuddling up to you, there's always that thing. Like, if there's any parents in the room, you'll know exactly where I'm coming from with this. When you've got really young children, or pets I suppose, puppies, dogs, etc., you'll know what it's like. So like you want to have them close to you and it's nice and all that, but at the same time you're really concerned that if you do fall asleep and if you're quite a heavy sleeper that you might kind of roll over and crush them or something. Generally they're going to be fine and they're just going to whimper out or something, but it's always one of those things that's kind of worried me a little bit, so I don't really like it. So there's been a few times this week where it's like late hours of the early morning, I'm still not asleep because I'm kind of like one eye open, trying to, it's probably the left eye actually, trying to keep an eye on the cat to make sure that it's okay and all that kind of stuff. Yes. Truck fan says feels like garbage. I'll probably pop off soon. Sorry to hear that. There's a lot of it about at the moment. It's that time of year where everyone's body goes into kind of detox mode and you're like, just like, oh, absolutely gross. Anyway, tonight's stream, as you've probably guessed from the intro and the thumbnail, and also the video that came out on Friday, which has done really well for the channel actually. So anyone who's watched it, thank you very much. And for those that have liked and subscribed recently and all that kind of stuff, welcome to the channel. Oh crap, that was a power supply. If this is your first time joining us on a live stream, welcome, thank you for joining us, much appreciated. And yeah, it's a very kind of mixed bag on our live streams. There's a thumbnail and a description, but generally we go completely off topic and do basically anything but what is noticed or what is in the thing. So here's a motherboard that has been extremely popular, and for good reason actually. It's a really good motherboard. It's got all the right things in all the right places and generally is quite inexpensive. I was really lucky that I picked up a deal just shortly after Black Friday. Scan.co.uk here in the United Kingdom. We're doing this for...
I told you not to put them on
cats
the
are eating
chair.
wires. There's a cat hair right over the lens. Is that visible on the screen? No. There is a cat hair, a massive cat hair, just going right the way across the centre of the lens at the moment. It's gone. Anyway, so this cost me £109.99, including shipping, which was an absolutely phenomenal deal. I actually wish I'd have bought more of them, but I thought, no, I'll just get one, just in case they're limited stock. It was a pre-order, so you never know. I think they're still up at about the 130, 140 mark at the moment. So, still good value for money, but not as good as what I managed to get it for. So there is that to it. But one of the key things about this, especially for Micro ATX builders, is the fact that the PCI Express slot, which you can't see, I was expecting to show you on the picture there, the PCI Express slot is in an awesome place. It's really high up. So if you are putting this into a Micro ATX case, which you probably will if you're buying a Micro ATX board, because that's kind of the reason you'd buy one. So the slot is actually really high up. And just get that out. Sorry, I'm not very good at this unboxing, Lark. So as you can see, the PCI Express slot is basically the highest slot it can possibly be. So that's going to give you a nice bit of room there for your graphics card in your Micro ATX tower, because your kind of base is going to be there. If you've got a double slot or a triple slot card, it's going to struggle to get air in unless it's a particularly positively pressured case, which most Micro ATX cases generally don't tend to be. You'll notice as well, I've added the M.2 Wi-Fi card. That doesn't come as standard. There is a Wi-Fi version of this board available, which will cost about an extra $20 or £20, so you can get that as well. But yeah, it's a very cool little board. Captive I/O shield on the back there, so you don't have to worry about flipping around with any of that stuff. Reasonable amount of I/O on the back, not brilliant. I would have liked to have seen more USBs, but it's a relatively cheap board. Like I said in the review, if you want more USBs, it's really easy to add a hub, but other things it's actually more difficult to add. So things like Wi-Fi, BOS flashback, 2 GB LAN, that kind of stuff is hard to add. So I'm glad that they've put in what they have. Again, for the relatively small price, I think it's a pretty decent price to pay. Does that make any sense? My head is killing. Where's my drink? I need a drink. I think my PC's still on as well.
Oh, Davy Jones, that box has moved.
Nice cup of tea.
Move that climbing frame.
Oh, I have.
Don't chew on that box.
Yes, so going back to what this is all about now, I've actually done a build in the
Oh, poor old Candy.
That hurt. Thermaltake S100.
Okay.
which is a Micro ATX case, and I've actually got in there the MSI B650M-P, which we reviewed a little while back, which is actually another good budget board. Some of you remember I picked that for a really good price, about £90, because it was allegedly new and not used, but it had bent pins on the actual socket, which was a concern, but it turned out it works absolutely fine. I've had that system built up and running, done some tests and stuff, and it's absolutely fine. So that's been really good. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to get that case, get that system. I'm going to take out the B650M-P. I'm going to put this board in. I'm probably going to put in a new M.2 drive as well, I think. I'm not entirely sure if I will or not. Reason being is because I'm probably going to buy another 7500F processor to put back on the MSI board after. I have got a spare processor which I could put on here, but it's the 7700X, which I think is probably going to be a little bit too much for this. I think mini ATX or Micro ATX systems are actually quite hard to sell for a decent amount of money, or to even make your money back. I think ATX cases generally tend to be the ones that sell a little bit easier, unless there's some kind of weird and wonderful thing going on with the Micro ATX. So that is my kind of reasoning behind it. I want to try and keep it relatively budget, but somewhat future-proof as well. When I get the other case in a minute, you'll see what I mean about the PCI Express slots. It's really evident that the PCI Express slot placement on Micro ATX is super important, especially when it comes to cooling. I've managed to kind of deviate away from it slightly because I've got a dual slot card in, which doesn't really deviate much more than that dual slot. It's a GTX 1080, which I got from Dave Aitken, and it actually does fit in there and looks quite nice. So maybe what I'll do is if I get that case out, you look at the build, see what you think of it. If you think it's okay as it is, I might end up just leaving it as is, but I will probably let you guys be the judge of it and see what you think. Price wise, actually I'll get the PC out so you can have a look at it, and then you can work out kind of where we're at with it, whether or not this is actually even viable, whether I should just keep that as it is or put it into another case. I have got a Thermaltake Tower 200, which is in storage, which does seem to fit a Micro ATX board, although it wasn't designed for it. So I'm almost kind of tempted to do a build in the Tower 200, but we'll see how that goes. David Underhill saying that that board is normally 306 Aussie dollars, so that equates to 175 GBP. Yeah, so I got a really good deal on that. Any other things in there that I've missed out? Mark Berry says I'm thinking about upgrading next year to a new motherboard. At the moment, I would say on the Discord it's been an absolute nightmare. It's getting worse, and I think it's going to reach fever pitch over Christmas time, with people where they're building new systems with AM5 and just no boot situations or RAM not working. It's pretty horrendous right now, it really is. I think that's actually why I'm a bit tired as well, because I've been going through that, trying to deal with about 5 or 6 people at the same time, all with very similar problems. Kind of blows your mind a little bit. Also, I did the review for the AverMedia 4K 60 capture card this week, or yesterday, and that was really tough going because it's something quite far outside of my knowledge base. So kind of remembering the facts and figures and doing all the B-rolls and stuff like that was a little bit of a nightmare. Hey, kitty cats! Right, you
Get out your system now.
get out your system. You do the presenting for about 60 seconds. Can I trust you with that? 60 seconds? That's like 5, 1 times 10. Do you think you can do that? So, this is your shot at presenting live on YouTube. You think you got it? You're not convinced, are you? Tell you what, I'll leave you to it. Look after these guys for me. Because Poppy ain't gonna. Lazy. Bending down and lifting stuff isn't good fun with a headache, I've decided. Oh, for God's sakes. Right. How did you do? Did you do all right? Well, it's nice to see that you've stuck around, Candy. Can check by the stripes on her back. You having a nice time? You enjoying yourself on Mike's Unboxing? What do you think? Do you think it's something you might want to do?
Poppy, you nearly drank your tea.
Is this going to be your career? Cat videos? There's a £20 super chat coming in from O'Reilly. Thank you very much. He said, ooh, kitty cuteness overload. Let's see if I can click on that. Where is the mouse gone? There we go. Thank you very much, O'Reilly.
What's that, Candy?
Membership shot up to 5k while you're away. Wouldn't that be nice? Mark Bray says, I'm sticking with AM4 for a bit longer. I do not blame you at all. I think you're very justified in sticking with that. It's the trouble is with AM4 that the prices now are really getting close motherboard wise to the AM5 stuff. Now obviously the processors are still quite expensive, but if you think about it, you can pick up something like the Ryzen 5 7500F from AliExpress still now for about £140, 130, £140. Combine that with ASROCK B650M Pro RS for about 130. That's a cracking system, and it will pretty much keep up with a 13400 pretty easily, which is going to cost quite a bit more. So, what are you doing? Candy? Right, come here. Come on. Oh, come here, you little lightweight. Right, sit down there. Be good. Do you think you can do that? They're so curious about everything. You going to move the other leg, or are you just doing some yoga poses now? The leg stretch. This is a catastrophe. It is. It is chaos. It really is chaos. Having 6 cats, 3 kittens, 3 regular cats, and trying to work at home is, yeah, not conducive to a healthy life.
Shut up.
You good?
You
want to stay there now? What are you looking at? You're looking at this. You are. You're looking at the headscarf. Candy?
Here, Poppy.
I kind of need to move you really so I can put a computer there. Is that all right?
They're not usually allowed on the desk. It's all new.
Yeah, they're not. Normally we try and keep them off of here, but Kath's gone for the cuteness. Ugly Bob's coming with a £10 super chat and says, now is the time to start feeding gold and silver glitter to your cats if you want to add that festive touch to your neighbour's flower beds. What do you think about that? Huh? You do some glittery poos? This is the most chilled out and relaxed you've been in ages. Normally you run around like an absolute freak show.
All lies, all lies. They're not like a herd of elephants at night.
Oh. Hey, Cand. Yeah, it's me, Gramps. You are very happy there, aren't you? You're very content. What's the matter? Do you need a wee? Or, oh no, you're itchy. Okay. Hey, Dave. Lovely cat colours. How much is packing and delivery for a kitten? I don't think it would be possible. I couldn't put one of these little things in a box.
But we do have a box.
They do live. They do sleep in a box. To be fair. There's Dave. All right, Dave. You enjoying your Saturday evening? You gonna have a little scratch as well? Yeah, I think that's for the best. With that crazy cat fur you got going on. You got some big cat fur going on there. You look like you've been like, well, looks like you've been in very humid weather. Not the motherboard socket. No bent pins. Actually, no, keep away from that because I haven't tested this to see if it works yet. That would be a catastrophe. That's definitely going to fall over. Right, guys, help me out here. William Bodie says next year Candy will have 3 kittens more for Mike. Oh dear. Ever find a hair in your tea? There's all sorts in here.
He don't mind. He's always quite fancied canned cat food, to be honest.
What is it about canned cat food that it just smells amazing? When it's like served up, you just smell it, you get that waft through. It's almost like being in a harvester's restaurant. Actually, no, what's the one that does the Sunday dinners? Beef Eater.
Carvery.
No.
Toby.
Toby Carvery. If you go into a Toby Carvery, it smells just like cat food. It's amazing. Oi, don't eat the freaking HDMI cables.
Should we put you down now?
Right, time to get down. Otherwise, you get the massage UFO. Oh, she likes that. Is that nice? She's like, oh, I liked it when it was on my back, but I'm not too sure about it dancing around in front of me. Come on.
Come on, Candy.
I don't think fur is conductive. No, I don't think it is.
Why is that? What the food is?
I definitely feel something grinding. Somewhat worrying. Right, let's move on from this lunacy and let's have a look at this system I've built. Oh, there's so much. There's just crap everywhere. It's too much for me. I can't cope. Oh. Right. So there is the motherboard for our other motherboards. So this is the B650. Well, the Pro B650M-P. I wonder actually if that's why I've not had so many views on this, because I've called it the B650M-P, not the Pro B650M-P. I might need to change that actually. Maybe it's the wrong search thing. Or maybe just people don't want MSI boards on the AM5 platform, which I do understand. Cooler wise with this, we went with the Phantom Black from Gelid. It's quite an unusual look, this system. I'm not too sure how I actually feel about it, because there is a lot of white, there's a lot of black, and there's a lot of silver, and there's a couple of splashes of red as well. So it's a little bit of a mismatch. I would have liked really for it to be either more muted or all white, but trying to get all white components these days is just lunacy. It's extremely expensive. So we try to avoid extremely expensive wherever possible, and this is the case for those of you that are wondering. So this is the Thermaltake S100 TG. This is going to be on offer very shortly. I know for sure in the UK. I've spoken with Adam from Thermaltake, and he has assured me that I should not let the review video go out for this case until midway through December, which we are kind of getting towards. So there is, thank you, there is going to be a kind of a next run, because they got to the point with these where they'd almost stopped the production run, and they got to the point where it's like, okay, it's a slightly older design now, maybe we'll can it. But it's proven to be very popular with the Micro ATX community, and also budget builders as well, who want a nice case without spending an absolute fortune. And these have been on the market on and off, normally for about £40, but quite often for about £30. Which £30 for a PC case, which is actually a decent quality one, especially in this day and age, is actually pretty extraordinary. Some red on there. It does have red. So there you go, there's the front view. So we've got a solid panel, but we do have extreme mesh down here and on the other side. So if you don't want a particularly overloaded RGB looking PC on your desk, you don't have to anymore. You can just go with one of these and keep it all kind of hidden and it all look rather stealthy and clean. And then behind here, if I can pull this off without destroying something, there we go. This is metal, so magnetic if you want to stick anything to it. Behind that we've got room for 320mm fans, or in this particular instance I've got two Lianli fans, and these actually came from a good friend of the channel, Colin Hilton. He dropped these over to us when he was down in Bristol last. And yeah, these are, that hurts. These are Lianli fans, 140s. I'm not sure the actual model number, these to be fair. I was kind of umming and ahhing whether or not to put a 360 rad in here, but kind of went with the air cooling. Seemed to be the better choice overall, I feel personally.
Dave's face like, wow, where did that extra bedding come from?
Got an extra bed. Right, we'll turn this round onto the side angle, and Kath, you're probably in the reflection. She don't care. So side panel comes open easy, just a little indent there. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to lift that off because we don't necessarily need that, and I would have liked to put it into the box, but so a very, very nice layout here. But already, hopefully, I'm not sure whether it's completely evident, there isn't a huge gap at the bottom here for graphics cards. Now this is a particularly slim one, so this is the EVGA GeForce GTX 1080. And actually with this, there's a decent gap there. Now there is a ventilation at the bottom, so it isn't kind of like the end of the world. But in some instances, if you've got a slightly chunkier card, it could cause a few problems, which obviously is something you want to avoid if at all possible. So the theory being is if I swap this case out, or sorry, swap the motherboard out, put in the ASROCK one, we can jack things up a level, and yeah, hopefully that's going to be the better option. Although I'm interested to hear what you lot think, whether or not I should just stick with this as it is. I kind of like it. Let me power it up a minute and you can see what it looks like, and we might even be able to run the old benchmark or two possibly. I'm not too sure what's on there. Bob says, yay, CAFCAM. CAFCAM 2, Electric Boogaloo. Yeah, does she have her bangs on show? Let's plug some of this nonsense in. I'm not too sure actually what state of play I left this in. So, oh, that's hurting. Okie dokie. I need a keyboard and a mouse, don't I, really, for this? What shall I use? Something with a built-in mouse, pad, trackpad. That'll be good, but that is right up there. I'm not going to be able to reach that. So, what do I do otherwise? Right, I'm going to unplug this one, I think. We'll just go with that. That'll be fine. Let's get some Ethernet. That is actually something else as well, because this motherboard doesn't have Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or anything. It was kind of nice to be able to think about swapping the board out for a board which has all that stuff built in, which is obviously beneficial. Quite a nice quiet little system as well. I'm right next to it and it's obviously just starting up for the first time. Let me see if I can get this on screen. Have I got HDMI 4 available? Yes, there we go. Hopefully you can still hear me. I'm not too sure if you actually can or not. Maybe you can. Let me know in the chat if you can still hear me. But yeah, this is the system up and running. Didn't take long. You can still hear. Excellent stuff. Tidy darts. Now let me see, what resolution are we actually running at here? I've got a feeling that's in 4K still. It looks tiny. Yeah, it is in 4K because we're plugged into a 4K capture card, obviously. Of course we are. Keep changes, there we go, that's a bit more. So AMD local account, yeah, I think this is the kind of test setup that I did. Where are we? There we go, settings. I don't think it's done any windows. It feels a bit laggy on here actually. Maybe it's just the mouse. Actually no, it does look a little laggy. I wonder if it is because where are we? Display settings. Oh, because we're in 30 Hertz, aren't we? Of course. That's display 30 Hertz. Yeah, that's stupid. You don't want to do that, do you? Oh, I broke it now. No, there we go. Ah, that's better. Keep changes. Yeah, that's much nicer. That's yes, that's how it should be. So yeah, it's a nice little system actually. As you can see, I've used Disk Genius on here to clone the disk previously. All very nice. Actually, I can run a quick Cinebench on here as well, I think. Have I got Cinebench installed? I think I have. Let's crack that open, Cinebench. For anyone who's actually interested to see what the Cinebench scores are potentially like. Did I install Cinebench? I must have installed it. Oh, I did, but I turned off the keyboard and mouse. So Cinebench, there we go. Cinebench. Actually, let's add in. I'm not sure if I can do this or not, but I might be able to. Let me see if I can add in another camera feed. So let's turn in, let's have another video capture device and we'll choose, let's call that camera. Yeah, we can do that one. There we go. So there, you can still see me. Oh yeah, yeah. You can see what the system's doing as well. So let's do the Cinebench. I'm going to run this for, let's just, actually, oh, I'm not, wrong microphone, wrong mouse. I've just run the standard test just to get kind of like a baseline read in so you can see what it's all about and see how well it does. If you're maybe considering one of these for yourself.
Can you tell William that Nick's got friends round tonight?
Yeah, Nick's got friends round and he's asking about Senrad. He's got family round or whatever, Nick Barnes, people that are coming round to visit. Yeah, he won't be in the stream. So even on a relatively sustained low, I should have actually checked the temperatures. I don't think it's particularly outrageous temperatures. The fans have kicked in a little bit, push a bit more air through. Should have put the side panel on actually. Hmm? Ah.
Well, we sorted all that. I'm a bit behind.
No, I probably haven't. HDMI 4. That's nice. There we go. The echo should be gone now.
And also, we don't know where Stuart is.
Yeah, not too sure where Stuart is either. Echo mic. Is that better now as the echo disappeared? I hear you twice now. Still echo, big echo. Echo. Is there still echo?
Echo.
Oh. So mic
So Mike's
shouldn't be. Is there still echo?
Is there still echo?
Shut up, knob. Turn off the second mic. There isn't a second mic on.
You finished your tea?
No. Stream mic's on. HDMI 4 is off. Oh, I know. Camera, that's what I want. Where's camera? Why is camera not showing in my list? Camera. There we go. No, actually, no, I do want that one, don't I? That's the one. Right, camera, that's turned off. That should be better. Sorry, I'm a noob. I told you I'm not very good at this stuff. No one believes me. It's true. I'm rubbish. There we go. Is that better? Yep, sorted. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Oh dear, that's better. See, it's all part of the learning curve. I still can't see the screen. I've got to spin around to see the screen. So how much did we get? What do we get? 12,752. So I'm not sure if that's actually any good. I think that's a little bit lower than what it should be. Let me just double check on here. No thanks. Was this Windows Update running in the background? It possibly was. Settings, yes, I know, whatever. Windows Update. Ah, there we go. So yeah, it was installing the cumulative update for Windows 11 version 23H2. So let's restart that now, and then we'll see what happens. You'll see how quickly it boots up actually. So I'll leave this screen on so you can see what's happening. And yeah, the system itself reboots quite quickly. The memory training and all that kind of good stuff, it happens very quickly. And considering this is an MSI board, it's quite unusual. So I've added on this. This is actually really important for DDR5 users, so pay attention now. If you're installing DDR5, make sure you set up your Expo or XMP. Preferably, if you can, manually enter the figures for your RAM timings, your primary, secondary, tertiary, etc. Do that yourself, put it in manually, but also enable memory context restore. But very importantly, if you're doing that, also make sure you enable the setting called memory power down. Make sure that is enabled. And it's kind of like most BIOS things, it's actually contradictory to what it actually is. So power down enable, you're thinking that by doing power down enable, it's actually gonna reduce power to the memory, which it kind of does. But the way DDR5 works is it's very, very, how should I say, it's very economic to run. So if it doesn't need to be drawing too much power, then it won't do. But if you have memory context restore enabled, when you're booting up into Windows or you're doing anything in the BIOS, it tries to set it to how it was the very last time it was before it was rebooted. So if for some reason your system was in a state where it was in a low power mode, but the system isn't expecting a low power mode, you'll get a blue screen. And vice versa, if the system was shut down and it was doing maybe a Windows update and it was in a high power load, it will be expecting to have that high power load. So you have to enable power down so that the memory context can restore to how the power setting was the last time it shut down. It's really confusing, but it does seem to make a difference. So if you are having problems with your DDR5 systems, do the memory context restore, set the manual timings, but also enable the power down feature as well. That seems to be the kind of one of the key factors of doing it. I don't know why BIOS motherboard manufacturers don't enable that immediately. So if you turn on Expo or XMP, you'd think it would do that automatically, but for some reason they don't. But that does seem to make a massive difference. Anyway, so there you go. System is back up and running. So we have 12,752. What's that? Oh, I miss hearing mic now.
Yeah.
Oh right, the double mic. Okay. Right. So we've just done a reboot. Back into Windows now. Now I haven't done anything to this Windows installation, so still got things like OneDrive is still running in the background tasks, all that kind of stuff. I've not tweaked Windows at all, so this is pretty much a raw affair. I think the only thing I've installed on here is the Disk Genius for cloning and also Unigine Heaven, just so I could test the graphics card. So I'm going to open up Hardware Monitor so we can monitor temperatures, and I'm also going to open up Cinebench and we'll run another single loop to see how that does, and we'll get an idea of the actual numbers. So that way, if we do decide to swap out the motherboard, we can also get some idea of performance as well. I think it's pretty much going to be the same anyway, but it maybe is worth taking a look at. Also, as well, I should say, MSI Center is installed on here, so that is a little bit of a resource hog. Yes, Kath?
Lucas wants to know, I want to buy a Ryzen 5 5500, but I don't know what mobile to buy. What would be the best option? Shall we discuss? Yeah,
I would, Lucas, if you're looking at buying a 5500, that's an awkward processor to buy a motherboard for, because that processor 5500 is still PCI Express Gen 3 rather than Gen 4. So it leaves you a load of options open, but if you're potentially thinking of upgrading later on down the line, you probably want to make a better motherboard buying decision now than what you potentially could do by saving money and buying something PCI Express Gen 3. So yeah, I would consider going over to our Discord and we can discuss it in greater depth and work out what it is you want to do. Welcome to Trevor Mundell, who has now become a Mike's Unboxing supporter. Thank you very much, very kind of you. Also, for those of you that if you want to help support the channel, obviously we welcome it. It's very kind of you if you do. You can do it either via the membership on YouTube, in which case you'll get videos a little bit earlier than others that are just normal peasants. I'm joking, of course. But if you want super early access to the videos and want to see them before, basically, probably I've even vetted them. So if you want, if you want the bloopers, you can join our Patreon. Patreon members, because of the way that YouTube works and for releasing videos, Patrons actually get access a lot earlier. So we're normally working on a schedule of being videos recorded 3 weeks in advance. Normally the Patrons will get the video maybe about 5 days, maybe, well, a couple of days after it's actually been produced. So you will get early access. So if there's any bargains, deals, links in the video description, you'll have full access to all of those. And Patreon membership starts from, I think it's only like £2 or something. So it's actually a little bit cheaper. But the reason why we do Patreon as well, some people don't like giving Google money. Totally understand that.
And we had Patreon
and also, we had Patreon before all this kind of crazy stuff kicked off. And Patreon give us the lion's share of the money. So Patreon, I think, give us 95% of all donations. Whereas with YouTube, they take 30%. So it does work out better for us technically from Patreon. We still have to pay taxes on it, so when we cash out, we pay taxes on it to the UK HMRC and all that kind of stuff. So we still pay tax on it all, but we get more of what you donate to the channel via Patreon. PayPal, you can also send donations to if you wish to. There are links, I think, are in the video description. Obviously, if you want to do that, it's entirely up to you. We are massively grateful for everything you do for us. It really is appreciated. So, yeah. All those kinds of things. Bless your hearts, all of you. Dutch Jan says, I can't become a member due to some problem with PayPal. Oh, sorry to hear that. I don't know why it is. It's, yeah, it's one of those things, sadly.
Stephen above that.
I'm going to have to work. Stephen, please help me upgrade my BIOS to the wrong version. Now I can't roll back. When I try and roll back to the previous version, it says invalid file. Does this mean my motherboard is gone? Well, no, if it says invalid file, then you're in the BIOS. So your PC is technically working. So I'm not too sure.
Join Discord?
Yeah, join our Discord. That's probably going to be a more in-depth conversation than what we can do here. I can press the button. Cass pointing at me like going like that. It's like, what the fuck are you on about? There's the link for the Discord in the chat.
I bet you wish you didn't put that button on there.
Yeah, that button's a pain in the ass now. I'm going to have to get Kath one of those little Stream Decks on her desk so she can press the darn button.
Was it a flame?
Right, what was I doing? I'm going to open up a hardware monitor.
Not going out. Windy out there, mind.
Hardware monitor. Hardware monitor. So let's drag that over to the side so we can see more of what is going on. And let's scroll up to the top area because I want to be concentrating on this area here, which hopefully you can just about see. So package temperatures, you can see at the moment, we're around about 38, 39 degrees idling, which isn't bad really considering the sides are open, so we've got really no direct airflow, although this is quite a beefy cooler, so I was expecting a little bit better. I don't actually recall what thermal paste I used on here, so I do need to do a thermal paste review, like an update on all the ones we've got. We did have some coming from Rick H as well, who sent us in the TF4 compound, which we still need to do a review on, so we will be doing that at some point. Hopefully, fingers crossed. What do we want? We want Cinebench. There we go. That's still there. Fantastico. So we can minimise that very, very slightly. And let's just run. Shut up, Poppy! God damn it!
She's calling her kittens down, aren't you? William Bodie wants to know how PayPal works. Yeah.
How does PayPal work?
He just gets it's easy. Is what people reply to that question.
Oh right, yeah. PayPal is. Well, how does PayPal work? You might need to be a bit more precise with what you mean by that. If you mean by how does it work for donating to us, All you need to do is just use the email address. I think it's mike@mikesunboxing.com. I think it's pretty straightforward. There's links in the video description, and you can basically click on it and you can send us a donation. And we get the full amount, obviously minus taxation, etc. But yeah, if you want to send us
I think it's how
a payment,
PayPal
you can
full
do.
stop.
PayPal works in the well, PayPal. If you set up a PayPal account, you can use it as like almost like digital cash. You can connect it to a bank or a credit card, or you can just use it. So if you regularly get payments from people for other services, you can just tell them to pay you by PayPal. So they can send you a PayPal payment, goes through. There's a very, very small fee for businesses, and there's no fees at all, I think, for personal transactions. So if you want to send people money, you can definitely do that. But yeah, PayPal's pretty good, I think, in general. There isn't a perfect company out there for doing any banking, there really isn't, but PayPal, been around a long time. It kind of works. They're not overly keen on freedom of speech stuff, so if you're someone who is slightly out on the fringes of either on the left or the right hand side, then potentially if you're on social media and you take donations and stuff, you may get a complaint from someone saying that this person is this, that or the other, and PayPal may decide to basically close your account and take away your money. But those are somewhat niche groups of people, let's say.
PayPal is a UK entity now, apparently.
Yes, PayPal has split. So there was PayPal. There's PayPal.com. There's PayPal EU. But now, because the United Kingdom has branched away from the European Union, there is now a dedicated PayPal UK company, effectively. So in terms of financial transactions and stuff, it's a lot easier if you're based in the UK at least.
So William says, do I go to a bank and ask for a PayPal card? I think
no, PayPal is just online, so you have it on your mobile phone, you have an application, or you can go to a web browser. There isn't a physical card as such. Just go, if you go to paypal.com, it will explain everything there. It's pretty straightforward. Like it was when we first started doing eBay back in what 2002, 2001 maybe. I was at M Squared, didn't I? So it was about 2000, because Angel would have been, and George on board. Probably about 2000, 2001, I had a PayPal account, and I've been using it ever since, like 20 odd years. So
you haven't been using it.
It's pretty good. I've been using CAFs. We had two, but it was easier to use CAFs at the time. Anyway, I digress. So what do we get now? So, all right, because the Windows update was running previously, we've now got a score of 13,737. 137759394 pi squared. 13,737. Poppy, please.
She keeps calling her baby.
I'm working, dude. Oh dear. Anyway, so there is the Cinebench result. Let's take a look at the temperatures. So highest recorded temperature is on our CPU core was 71 degrees Celsius. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I like that a lot. That is the one thing which really has, for me, been that thing as kind of like, it's almost reignited my passion for AM5. The 7500F runs very, very cool indeed. Because it is I think it's a 65 watt part, it's a pretty low TDP. It's only got 6 cores, 12 threads, so it doesn't really push the boundaries. So with a modest tower cooler, you can get temperatures which are under kind of 80 degrees, which is pretty awesome, because most processors of the AM5 variety will try and hit 95 degrees Celsius all day long, whereas this doesn't even come close to it. So it's pretty awesome. What was I going to do? Oh, I know what I was going to do. Let us have a look. I'm going to leave that running because, turn off suggestions. I don't want those. I'm going to now run a custom 5-minute loop, because that should allow the temperatures to kind of get to where they want. And we'll see what we see there 5,500, so 5 gigahertz basically. It's running pretty nicely. I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty happy overall. It's going to get a bit noisy now because it's running for a bit longer. So let's go back to the main camera. There we go. We're back. Hello. Bigger. I need to read your messages, but I can't really see them from this. This studio really gets my goat. I need to move things around or have a monitor this side of me here on a stand. That would be perfect. So a monitor on a stand so I can just look across.
Until you
But then I won't be able to see.
something and then it's like, oh.
Yeah, until I move something like that and knock it all over.
Yeah.
It's
Shrek says, hey Mike, nice review of the B650M Pro RS, my favourite
Thanks, Shrek.
650 board. It's nice to see a real M.2 heatsink and Gen 5 M.2 on such a cheap board.
Yeah, that PCI Express Gen 5 on a cheap board is awesome. Now, where is my... I'm live, okay. Yes, I want to do that. So I don't want to see a sponsored thing. Right.
SPG33 says, congrats on
Okay.
100k.
Thank you very much for the congratulations. Very kind of you. Let's have a look. Sorry, I see I've got... How sad, I'm having to watch my own stream to do my chat. So, what's been going on here? Oh, my glasses on already. Mark Berry says PayPal, one of Elon Musk's first companies he was involved with. Yes, I think it was actually. Right, that's, yeah, we're up to date there, I think. Skystalker says, I hear a Grinch. That's just me.
Ugly Bob said you sounded just like Cartman.
Respect my authority.
Was that shouting at the cat?
O'Reilly says, Mike, you need a 40-inch screen with just our chat on it. Well, I've got a 27-inch screen there, but unfortunately the chat is right over on the far side, so even with the best will in the world, I can actually see it pretty much, but
Can you not
it's like
swap sides?
peering around.
Can't you swap the chat over?
No, because that is something stupid actually.
So it's pop-out chat, but you've got to have it where they pop it out.
Yeah, I've got pop-out chat on. Actually, I can probably show you, so you can see what I'm facing, or not facing, is the thing may be. So let me spin the camera around. So there is my monitor. There's Maisie. So if I spin this round now, you'll see that is what I'm looking at. So I've got the stats for the stream here, over here on the left hand side. I've got the pop-out chat over on the far right. It's not racist chat, it's just on the far right.
PayPal won't like that.
PayPal won't like that. So what I normally do is when I'm setting up my windows, oh, tell you what, if I use the right mouse, that'd be much better. So if I go up to this bit here, you get the pop-out bit that shows you which bit your windows are on. So I have it on this one so that I can have that. But I want the reverse of that really. So I could manually just move that across. Oh, it doesn't like it. And I could snap that over there, maybe. No, it just doesn't like it at all. It's really obnoxious. Just wonder if I can do that. That might work. Yeah, because I can still see the viewers and stuff. It's not so easy if I look in the bottom here for viewer activity. No, actually, no, that's pretty legible. Some of it I won't be able to see. No, that might be... viewer activity, stream health.
Have you ordered your YouTube trophy yet?
Yes, YouTube trophy has been ordered.
What's the retail on this motherboard? Might need to build a system for a first-time PC
and
gamer
Lexar,
on budget.
Sorry, what is the...
Retail
on...
this motherboard.
Which one? There's two going on here. If you're on about the one...
M-P.
The M-P is...
Wait a minute, that was...
Right, I can kind of see that now, so that might work. It's bloody chaos here, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know. Which one?
Right, so let's put that round. Oh, knock the bloody thing off. And swivel round. Just so the monitor is just slightly out of the frame. There we go.
Do you have to pay for the 100k subs play button?
No, but if you want replacements or additional ones, you do.
But if you sell it, you'll have your account
So
taken down.
I can see the chat now on the side.
Not just your YouTube, the whole Google goes, doesn't it, if you sell it?
Yeah, if you have a YouTube Play button, or you have access to get them, and you then sell your YouTube Pay button, they are within their rights to basically erase your channel.
Not just your channel, your whole Google account.
Yeah, your whole Google account attached to that particular trophy. That's pretty scary, because I'm pretty sure that NCIX sold theirs in auction to Linus Tech Tips, or he wanted to buy it to add to his collection. But I suppose by that point they're basically bankrupt anyway, so it didn't really make a great deal of difference. O'Reilly says, click on the middle and see if you can change it to 1/3 and 2/3. I don't think it does it. I need an ultra wide. I do. I've actually got an ultra wide in the other room, which I could use, and I'm actually tempted to do that purely for this purpose. But then I really want to use that ultra wide on my desk, but it doesn't physically fit. It's just there's so many annoying things. And actually, I don't think the actual ultra wide. I don't think it's wall mountable. I think the stand is fixed. But yeah.
Hayden says, no, not Hayden.
SPG.
I'm sorry, it meant the best motherboard of the two.
The best motherboard. Well, the thing is, when you say the best motherboard of the two, it depends what your definition of best is. It's not as clear cut as being one is inherently better than the other. Although, having said that, I'm tempted to sway more towards the ASROCK B650M Pro RS. But if you look at the normal retail prices, there is a little bit of a kind of offset between them. And as with anything, with motherboards especially, whenever you get to the point of spending £10 more, £20 more, £30 more, it always opens up new possibilities. And you have to kind of think to yourself, do I need those extra features, or am I just getting locked into that kind of, oh, it's got another M.2, or oh, it's got another PCI Express slot, or it's got more USBs. You kind of get locked into that a little bit. I find myself doing it all the time. I look for a motherboard and it's like, oh right, the Pro A version's good, but then the Pro P's better, and then you've got the Gaming Plus, and then you've got the Tomahawk, and then you've got the Edge Wi-Fi. And it's just like, oh god, I've started off on a £100 board, I'm now at 250 quid, what's going on? I have to refresh my memory what I liked about this particular board now. I think...
Welly Bob says that ultra wide has better mounts.
Does it?
And he will wanted it just fine.
I might end up putting it in here. It would make sense to do it, but I really want it on my desk. That's really driving me insane. That desk has been the bane of my life for many, many months. Years even. Actually, I've had that desk. How long have we lived there? 20 years yet?
Over 2 years, I think.
Yeah, we've been here about 18 years, and that desk came within the first year, I'm pretty sure.
5, I think, we moved there, didn't we?
Yeah, so,
Bought it,
yeah. That IKEA desk, we've had here since 2006, 2007 maybe?
2006 we had it.
Nice.
We furnished this room, didn't we? With that.
William Bodie says, thanks, now I've got a PayPal account, I just need to find out how to move money to it. I think you'll have to go through a couple of hoops in terms of you'll have to verify your account, so they'll probably get you to maybe connect up a bank account, and they'll say, well, we'll take a penny out of your account, or we'll take...
I think they pay it in, don't they?
Yeah, I think sometimes they pay it into your account, sometimes, and you have to tell them how much they've paid in.
I think they put...
It may have changed, it's been ages since we've done it.
For the subject line, I think they put a code, and then you put that code from your bank statement into which is quicker now with
verification stuff, yeah.
We used to have to wait 3 months for the statement to come through.
Hello, George. Dave says, come on, Mike, you've been ranting about this desk for years. Let's get the tools out and smash it up. Mash it up.
You smashed up the floor, taken it out.
I've already broken most of it.
Broke my foot for about 2 years.
We are at the point. Ugly Bob says, hello, George. Yeah, motherboard wise, realistically this ASRock board has got pretty much everything that you could want and possibly more. So if you're trying to choose, well, if you do a direct comparison between these two motherboards, so if I was to directly compare it, the first thing you've got is the price. So this one cost me £90, this one cost me £109. So it's already £20 deficit. My mathematics is somewhat correct. But what do we get for our extra £20? So in this instance, we get one more M.2 slot. This one's got 2. ASRock's got 3. Actually, if I grab the board, that would probably be easier, wouldn't it? So, 2 M.2 slots over there, 3 on this board. So 1, 2, and 3. This one's got an M.2 cooler, and also the top slot is PCI Express Gen 5 times 4, whereas that one is only times 4 by 4, so a little bit slower. The bottom PCI Express slot on this one is a full-size slot, even though it's only wired for times 4. So if you're planning on putting a capture card, like an Elgato capture card or whatever, having a full-size slot at the bottom makes a lot more sense than having a times 1, depending on what you're putting in. This one has an M.2 Wi-Fi slot. That one doesn't. You've also got more addressable RGB headers. So you've got 1 at the top, another 2 at the bottom. You've also got more fan headers. This has got 5 against that one's 4. You've got a captive I/O shield, which that one is non-captive, so you have to install it yourself. The VRM setup on this is better. This is I think this is I've got to think now. This is 8 plus 2 plus 1. I think, actually saying that, I think the VRM might be the same on that. So very similar performance-wise, I'm pretty sure.
Matthew Day says, doesn't that slot come from the CPU?
Which one? Top one?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, top slot comes from the CPU. That slot comes from the CPU also. I'm pretty sure the Hyper M.2 comes from the CPU as well, and the slower PCI Express Gen 3, sorry, the slower PCI Express Gen 4x2 comes from the chipset, if I remember rightly. So those two are, well, basically all of that is from the processor, bottom slot, and your M.2 are from the chipset there. And other things, well, this has got an extra USB 3.2 Gen 1 Type A port, so front panel header. You've got 1 at the top there, or in the middle rather. You've got another one at the bottom, whereas on that board you've only got the 1. You do also have a, both got USB Type C, so that's pretty nice. I think in terms of the general overall aesthetics, I think this board looks a lot nicer. I think if you put this into a system and someone looked inside, they'd be like, that's pretty cool. Both have got 6-layer PCBs, so not really a great deal between them on that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I suppose, yeah, that one didn't have a M.2 heatsink, so I had to add one in. So by the time you take into some of those other costs, then yeah, I suppose that is the better value board, if you can get it at the 109. If you're spending more, if like that's 130, that's 120 or something.
Alright, I've made my mind up, the ASROCK it is.
The ASROCK board is going to be the one. As I said in the review, I think for a lot of people it's going to be the kind of go-to board, because it has got basically everything you'd want. And it's all in the right places as well. And also, the kind of the only real thing which I think might be somewhat problematic is there isn't a huge amount of USBs on the back, especially fast ones. So on the back, you're looking at DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, USB 3.2 Gen 1, 5 gigabit per second, I think. Actually, is that the 5s or the 10s? I think that's the 10s. So that's USB 3.2 Gen 2, 10 gigabit per second, Type A and Type C. Then you've got 4 USB 2.0s. Then you've got USB 3.2 Gen 1, 5 gigabit per second. So if you're maybe looking at using a 4K capture card, which runs on Type C, you'd have to use one of your faster ports there, which only leaves you one other. Whether or not you need fast USB ports these days, I'm not entirely sure. I do not know. Matthew Day says, doesn't that slot come from the CPU?
Yeah, we've done that.
Which one?
You the top one when you
discovered
it, haven't you?
Sorry. I don't know, has my chat died?
I think so, that's like old.
Where's something...
William says, George came on a Saturday night, not going to party out.
No, George don't party.
He's a gamer.
Gamer! Actually, let's go back to our HDMI. And so we've done our 5-minute loop now on the old didgeridoo.
Don't think you like to say that.
Is my chat working? Yeah, it is. Just people were enthralled maybe and didn't chat. That's great.
Yeah, but that was quite a way ago.
Hayden says about £30 difference between them at the moment. Just check scan and eBuyer. Thanks, Hayden. Much appreciated. I think 30 quid. The thing is with the motherboard, it's one of those things that you're probably not going to want to buy again for the foreseeable. So if it comes down to the point of like, you've got this fixed budget and you're thinking, right, this is how much I got to spend. If it comes down to the point of maybe you've got 30, 40 pounds set aside for maybe a nice tower cooler, or maybe you've put more aside, maybe like 50 to 100 on a water cooling rig. Maybe those type of things, if you're getting to that situation, like ditch the water cooling for now, grab yourself something nice and cheap and cheerful, like one of the Thermaltake Assassins, the PA120, that's a really good choice, under £20 generally, and then spend the extra on your motherboard, because you can always change your CPU cooler later on down the line when you've kind of got your platform all set up. I always wonder about that when people go out and buy like a really crazy system. Like a case is something you don't really want to change that often if you can help it. Your motherboard you don't really want to change if you can help it, because it's quite hard work to do. Processor is one of those things which they're not the best things to swap out on a regular basis, because you rarely get the money back on them. And when you upgrade, you have to do like a massive upgrade to see a real kind of change in performance. So those are things you don't really want to do. So like buy the best processor you can, or the one that makes the most sense. Probably spend a bit more money on your motherboard. I know there's going to be tons and tons of people who are going to watch this, especially in some of the countries where motherboards or just things are just generally expensive. Like some of our viewers in India and stuff like that, in some of the other countries where they haven't got maybe the cash flow or the jobs or just basically the stock available to buy, where you're paying a lot of money for stuff, then I understand, like buy whatever you need to buy to get yourself going. But for those of you that are in areas where it's a little bit easier to get hold of stock, or maybe it's a little bit easier to kind of allocate funds in different areas, definitely I think your motherboard is one of those things that it's generally worth spending a little bit more on. Possibly more so with the Intel side of things. If you're buying an Intel motherboard, maybe buy one which has got more features or is unlocked, so you can turn on XMP and memory profiles. That isn't such a thing these days, because most boards will allow at least XMP. But some older stuff like H610s, I don't think you can turn on XMP on those. And the 500 series, 400 series, like an H410 board is pretty awful, unless you're using it for just like an office machine. Anyway, let's have a look. So what do we get for... Oh, actually, we got slightly more. So running the 5-minute test, we actually got 13,791 points. So we about 60 points more. And our temperatures, well, we peaked a little bit more than we did before, so we're at 72 degrees Celsius. I think this is running really well. I'm kind of loath to swap the motherboard out now, really. It is running really nicely. And it does seem to be a nice gap in between there as well. I'm going to stick on Unigine Heaven and run that now. And we'll see if it's actually going to make much difference. So we close that down. Run that. Full screen, yes. Run. I'm going to want to mute this, aren't I? Is there sound coming through on that? No, there isn't, is there? No, we don't have any sound. Good. Where are we? Benchmark. Can you hear that? Is there a noise? No sound from the demo. Awesome. So we'll run the Cinebench, not the Cinebench, we'll run the Unigine Heaven benchmark through. This is a GTX 1080, picked this up off Dave Aitken. Quite a nice little card actually, and considering it is a dual slot, it really does conform really nicely to that dual slot. Like back in the days when these come out, what's this, 6-7 years ago, if it said it's a dual slot card, it's basically a dual slot card. So, awesome stuff. There is a little bit of coil whine. Very minimal though. If the sides were on, I don't think you'd hear it. there's a little bit of noise there, but nothing nothing too crazy. And what resolution are we running? This is 1080p, isn't it? Yeah, it must be, because we're getting 250 odd frames per second. And actually, I just realised that my my noggin is just in the way of that there. Temperature-wise, what are we at? 65. I don't think this one's actually been repasted. I think Dave said actually that he hasn't bothered repasting this at any point. And it's basically just as he got it. So I might repaste it at some point. But I think this PC looks kind of alright as it is. I don't know whether I really need to change the motherboard out. Maybe I'll keep that for a another... Sorry, just close these windows. I might keep it as it is. I think it's quite nice. And then stick this in something else. Because it doesn't really... I don't think I'm going to benefit much in terms of raw performance with this processor. But what I will gain is a little bit of height here. But because of this big CPU cooler, I'm going to have to change the CPU cooler then. Because that is going to be a lot higher. And it's probably going to touch the bottom of the CPU cooler. I don't know. Ugly Bob says, PC looks great as it is, apart from the RGB, of course. Thank you. It actually is a really nice looking little PC. And there's some things I really like. It is like the little bit of underglow from the front of the Thermaltake case. If I turn the light... Oh, actually, you can do it. You can turn the light off, please, Kath. There we go. So you can probably just about see there's a little bit of underglow. But you probably can't, actually, because it's on the smallest possible screen anyway. Let me flick that back to the other one a moment. Oh, wrong mouse. Main camera. So yeah, you can just about see it there. There is like a little bit of a hot spot on the side. So yeah, you can just about see there. Nice bit of underglow at the bottom. It's, I don't know. It looks very muted and minimalist from the front, but then from the sides you get a nice bit of glow from those RGB fans. Again, thanks once again to Colin Hilton for providing those. Much appreciated. I think he took them out of his own system. I was thinking, oh, go on, yeah, you can set it back on. I was just looking at the temperature gauge in the room. It says it's 22 degrees Celsius. And I was thinking, well, that's because the fan's kicking out the back. But this isn't actually putting out a great deal of heat, which is kind of nice.
SPG says, have you considered doing an APU build once the Ryzen 8000 APUs come out?
Yes, 100%. The Ryzen 8000 APUs, the ones which were announced recently, have been the the laptop ones, not the desktop ones. So we're still waiting to see what the desktop APU is going to look like. No real word on that at the moment, but I think it's going to be. I think they're going to be pretty good. The only downside again is it's that age-old thing. Like if you're buying a system and you're using it as an APU-based system, do you want to be spending a lot of money on it? So if the processors are realistically, they're going to have to kind of be roughly on parity with the similar core count processors of the same family. So like the 7600 or 7600X, if you have like an 8600G with again 6 cores, 12 threads, if it hasn't got the same PCI Express lanes and stuff, or isn't dramatically cheaper or more expensive, it doesn't really make a great deal of sense, because if it's 50 quid more, the APU is going to have to be pretty decent, because you can pick up a RX 5800, RX 580 pretty easily now for 50 quid. An RX 580 will generally spank the backside and the bejesus out of any APU you can buy. Yes, it's going to use considerably more power and it's going to be larger to install, but ultimately if you're building an APU system, you're probably doing it because of games. So it's going to be, if it's like 20 quid more expensive or 30 quid more expensive than the non-APU version, then I think it's got a fighting chance of winning. But we've had previously like the 3400G, when that came out, that was like £70 more expensive than the desktop normal non-APU version. And it didn't really make much sense because it wasn't particularly fast. Hanno says, hey Mike, are you considering reviewing the Montech King 95? I am actually, yeah. I do like the look of that. It looks like a very interesting case. I'm not sure whether it's quite cheap enough.
Here's what I found.
Thanks for that. I'm not too sure if it's cheap enough really to combat the O11. Because the O11s you can pick up kind of cheapish now. But yeah, possibly.
Where's your sister?
Hayden says, hey, my takeout food is here at last. David Underhill says, main market for APU is cheap pre-built desktops and laptops. By the way, the 8000 APUs will beat any RX 580 according to the specs. That's the thing. The specs always lie. And especially from AMD. How many times from AMD have we had the same old story that this next graphics card is going to be the greatest thing and it's going to be having this much bandwidth and it's got this amount of RAM and it still sucks. AMD still can't keep up with NVIDIA in terms of basically any of their price points, which is really sad, but they always do it. Every single time AMD managed to screw something up in their launches. And they have done for pretty much forever since, I'm trying to think of the last generation that they did which actually delivered on what they promised. I can't think of one, not off the top of my head, which is kind of worrying. You think NVIDIA have had some pretty poor generations in the last 5 years, maybe longer, but yet they're still better than AMD. Kaiser Sono says, just get the right one. The 7800 XT doesn't suck. It doesn't suck, but for what it costs and for the performance levels, it should be doing a lot better. And they've only just recently now, about a year later, fixed the high current or the idle current drain or idle wattage drain, or what it is. Yeah, 9700 Pro, says Chris F. That was probably the last generation where they actually hands down beat NVIDIA. That's a long time ago. Shags the Hobo says, my 7800 XT shits all over my 4070. It probably does in games, but it won't do in anything outside of games. So if you're just a pure, simple gamer, then they're going to be absolutely fine. But if you want to do anything else other than gaming, so like if you're doing video editing or streaming or anything like that, as soon as you start streaming, the newer cards, it's just NVIDIA have got that whole market sewn up. Wait, get off my keyboard. I've turned it off. Who is that? Is that Otis?
That's
Otis, what are you doing? Get back.
I thought you wanted.
It's not really itching my nose.
I thought you wanted to go out, Meeps.
Mike says, NVIDIA are better than AMD, but I'll never go back to NVIDIA. AMD guys are just too cool. I don't know. Shags the Hobo says, streaming fine here, especially on YouTube. Maybe the 7000 series might be a little bit better. I am tempted to actually get a 7000 GPU, but then I keep on looking at the prices and thinking, well, there isn't really much point when you're spending that sort of money. You might as well just get an NVIDIA card, 'cause at least that way you know guaranteed that it's going to work in all instances. But for video editing, they are struggling, definitely. Xenomorph says, AMD are better than NVIDIA at the moment. I would tell the shareholders and basically the world that, because it isn't better. AMD, saying that AMD are better than NVIDIA at the moment is very much a fanboy proposition thing to say.
Dutch Jan, no company is your friend, so it doesn't matter.
Dutch Jan, yeah, that's exactly right. The thing is, AMD and NVIDIA are both partly owned by the same company. So they're effectively the same brand.
Xenos put that. BlackRock have shares in NVIDIA.
Exactly.
AMD,
Yeah.
no problem.
Exactly. That is where it goes. AMD are firmly aimed at the people that can't afford NVIDIA.
Xenos put the same.
That's where it comes from. That's what it
Xenos
is.
put that and the question that you were saying about.
Yes, right. Yeah. Yeah. BlackRock and Vanguard are the majority shareholders of AMD, Intel, Coca-Cola,
Pepsi.
you name it. Any brand that you possibly have got inside of your PC or even inside your house. Vanguard, BlackRock, Stateside, they're the ones who got it all. Dave Aiken says the 6700 10 gig was an absolute steal of an AMD card. Yes, I would agree with that. To be honest, this week I've actually taken out my RX 6800 from my video editing PC, and I've stuck in my Intel A770, which is only an 8 gig card, and it runs much better. So I don't know.
BlackRock owns my missus.
NVIDIA are basically lower temps and also lower wattage. AMD have got to do what they're doing with, well, not so much with the processors, but they're essentially, AMD are throwing wattage at graphics cards to make them perform, and they're still not catching up,
Don't play with mazes.
which is a shame. But they are the budget end. Dave says he might be selling the 3070 Founders Edition soon. It's nice. That is a nice card. I'm almost at the point of, I was considering a 4070. I'm very seriously considering it for the power efficiency and the fact that it's just going to do really well in Premiere and Fortnite. Fortnite is probably the only game that I play on a semi-regular basis now. So yeah, Fortnite is NVIDIA's bag, definitely. Xenomorph say Intel are made by Israel. They have got a big fab in Israel. That's absolutely right. This thing, oh, I wonder why this isn't finished yet. It doesn't finish, does it? It just carries on forever. Where are we? HDMI 4. So, there are the results of the Unigine Heaven benchmark. I'm not even sure if that's any good. It's been so long since I've actually run this. 6,176 points. Is that any good? Let me know. Darren says RTX 4070 Ti on my wish list. Kaiser says you can't argue on the power savings. No, that is true. Skystalker says this is pretty good. Okay. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Is that a good score? Is that roughly what it should be? I have no idea. Well, the theory is at 1080p, you're getting what? 250 frames per second. Minimum FPS is 60, so it hasn't dropped below 60 FPS, which is the important side of it. And the maximum was 480, which I think is the cap on here, isn't it? In it. So we'll go with that. 6176.
What does the 7500F sell for in the UK?
It doesn't. That is the point at the moment. Unfortunately, oh God, where are we? Where's my mouse? There we go. Unfortunately, the 7500F doesn't really sell on its own. It's an OEM product, so you can buy it with a motherboard. AWDIT, they've been selling them with motherboards for a reasonable price. Hello, McFly. Sorry. I could have swore I turned that off. Nope, I didn't. I just did that. Quit. Right, let's have some sensible noises.
I think the cats have gone to sleep. They haven't.
Yeah. Well, it never got to a point where it was horrendously loud, did it? So I'm pretty pleased with that. Brent W says hello. How you doing, Brent? The Asus card with M.2 isn't out yet. Should be soon. The thing is with graphics cards at the moment, as we know, NVIDIA are going to be releasing their 4000 Super range. It's CES, or at least announcing it, so they'll be following out very soon after. They have, at the moment, you can see it all around, they've ramped down production of the normal cards, I suppose you'd call them, to try and get the Supers out. So at the moment, the 40 series are getting quite expensive. Not that they weren't anyway, but they're getting more expensive because obviously Christmas. And then straight after Christmas, they're going to go down in price because people are going to want to get the Super version because it's going to have a minor bump in performance. And potentially, there has been some whispering that they're going to have extra RAM, which isn't entirely unusual. We have had supercars before where they've actually gone from like 6 gigs to 8 gigs. I wouldn't rule it out altogether. Skystalker says, yay, a supercard. I am yawn excited. The irony is not lost on me there.
Ugly Bob above?
Ugly Bob, yeah, I think you should leave that PC the way it is. You think so? I think so. I think I've convinced myself. So, if I go down through, how much do you think it is worth? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to grab my board because I've actually worked out already. Oh, okay. I was going to grab a drink.
Oh, I knew there was an alternative.
Oh, ulterior motive, not an alternative. You've done it again. Cav's got a habit of mixing phrases and things.
I'm correcting you now. Words that I'm always getting wrong.
I drank a bunch of water before I started this shit, don't I? I've actually got mince pies. Actually, I'll leave that there. Would anybody like to join us for a mince pie? These are the Taste of Difference from Sainsbury's. And the eagle-eyed will notice there is no yellow stickers on these bad boys. So these are actually genuine, and they're actually best before the 20th of April 2024. Now, they should know by now that they will not last that long in this household. Because
And if they're making raw ingredients, they wouldn't last that long.
I don't keep my Fitbit scales exercising out and rocking it every day without eating stuff like this. So, excuse me. Let's have a mince pie. I always thought, now, let me also.
The plastic, but the apple pies I've got on my desk, they don't.
Let me know in the chat. Are you one of those people that thought that mince pies actually had mincemeat in them?
That's just you, Mike.
I thought that was a thing. I was convinced that these had mince in them.
When was the first time?
Because pork pie.
When was the first time you had a mince pie?
Well, I thought it was some weird concoction where it was like mince meat, but with fruit in it as well, or something like that. I had some kind of weird thing in my head that I thought that was the case. And the first time I actually ate a whole one was about, how many weeks ago?
About 2 or 3.
Yeah, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Previous to that, I'd always like, someone would offer me one of his,
don't like it.
I'd be like, just have a nibble of the pastry or something and then leave it and just like, chuck it down the back of someone's sofa. So, recently we had some from, where did they come from?
Gone off.
We had some gone off ones from Co-op, and Kath bought them because she likes them. And I was like, oh, I'm not really keen, don't really like them. Not that I've ever really eaten one. And had them, and they're like, holy shit, these are lush. That's a Bristolian thing, lush. So yeah, Gert Lush, so I'm going to have one. Kath, shall I pass one over to you? She says, pass one? Just one?
Thank you.
David Aiken says, traditionally they used to have actual meat in them. See, I wasn't totally stupid. So Merry Christmas, everybody. And for those of you that don't celebrate Christmas, happy Thanksgiving or Hanukkah or whatever your festive bag is. Isn't there another one? What's the Muslim festival, which is now-ish, roughly? I'm sure there's a Muslim festival at the moment. I could be wrong. Right.
AG2. Hey, could a loose heatsink cause the GPU temperatures to launch up to 80 degrees?
Possibly. Possibly. A loose heatsink can cause all kinds of problems, but some GPUs will go up to 80 degrees anyway. This is crumbly and falling apart. Happy fruit mince eating day. Ugly Bob says Kwanzaa. What's that? That sounds like a Nissan. Dutch Jan says, first Tuesday, my birthday, Mike. Happy birthday. Whose birthday? There was somebody else's birthday this week, wasn't there? That I've forgotten all about.
It's William Bode's on Sunday.
No, there was someone else's as well. It was somebody we sent something to. And they said, oh, that can be my Christmas present, birthday present. Was it Rick?
Might have been Rick.
Somebody had a birthday. I think it might have been Rick
I
H.
think it was Rick.
Yeah, I think Rick H's birthday's
And this is Rick's.
been... What's that?
This is Rick's Disco Lights.
Rick's Disco. Way!
Happy birthday, Rick.
£10 from Rick H. Sorry, $10 for more co-op goodies. Thank you very much. And Ugly Bob's come in with a £2 disco mince pie. These were actually £1.75, so there's 25 pence left over from that £2. Although after Amazon, YouTube have taken their cut, yeah,
Spot on.
whatever.
I'm sure in January we get lots of reduced ones.
I think it's just the fact that there's so much sugar in this that it's kind of like curry. You can put the most beat up, horrible, gone off meat into a curry, and because it's got so many herbs and spices, it just tastes good. Yeah, I think it's Rick H. Rick H, was it your birthday this week? Rick H, mine's on the 17th.
Rick H.
Happy birthday, Rick H, on the 17th, which is approximately... next Sunday, I think. Dave says, you've got a loose heatsink is like the PC Geeks version of you've got a screw loose. You probably can't even say you've got a screw loose anymore. That's probably some kind of hate speech. It's not on the screen, that's right. I didn't click on these, did I? My apologies.
Yes, one's RFI genuine fruit mints.
Ugly Bob says you could put seagull in a curry and it would still taste good. I think you're right. They probably do. Boom, Dave Aiken. Doctor, I've got a mince pie stuck up my arse. Doctor, don't... Oh, someone's removed it. I was just reading that. Cholesterol goes up like the FPS on the GTX 1080. So I think that... Actually, did anyone find out what the 1080 is supposed to get in Unigine Heaven? Nope. Muckless says, hit the like button, you cowboys. Thank you very much. Calf, take these away from me because I'm going to be in some kind of sugar coma. There's a lot of sugar going on there. And before you say, Mike, what are you doing? Just doing that onto the floor. I do the vacuuming. So I know exactly what is going on. It's good for the carpet.
Even though we've got laminate.
Yeah. Oh, pricing, PC. Right. Let's go through the parts. So, Ryzen 7500F, B650M-P, case, RAM, CPU cooler, M.2 drive, 1TB, GPU. I'll give you a bit of an easy one on the GPU. GTX 1080 second hand, £100. Got a pretty good price on that, so you can work out the rest for yourself. PSU, 650 watt semi-modular.
Dave's joke's back on.
All right. Don't worry. I've got a mince pie stuck up my arse. Don't worry, I've got some cream for it. Ba-boom. She said I got some custard for it. Custard. Skystalker says I just got 3800 with my GTX 1060 with the 2700X on Heaven. So that's actually that's almost double. That's pretty good. Hayden says I can only find that case for £70 at the moment. You should be able to find it on scan.co.uk for £39.99. I don't think it's on Amazon at the moment. So I will run through the prices. So I'm not going to say what I paid for them, but I'm going to work out what it. Actually, have we got a calculator?
You know we have.
No, have we got one to hand is what I meant really, sorry.
No, what you meant really was get up and get the gold.
What I meant was, get that mince pie down your face and get into the bloody kitchen and get me a calculator, please. Oh, and stick the kettle on. Hey Toad! How you doing? Bob. Ugly Bob. You lovely, lovely man. That is the best one. Ugly Bob says, did you know you can buy a mince pie for £1.10 in Jamaica? You can buy a corned beef pie for £1.30 in the Bahamas. These are just some of the pirates of the Caribbean. Come on, give it up for Ugly Bob. That is good. I'm gonna remember that one.
Copied and pasted that one. I'm gonna send that to my mum.
Send it to your mum. Send it to me because I'll be using that in work tomorrow, without a shadow of a doubt. Ordering Dude says I like my ARC A770 16 gig. Great for DaVinci Resolve.
I haven't even got your email in my emails.
Rick H says $550 to $600 for that PC. I think you're actually in the right ballpark. Mucklist says use the chat to calculate your balance. That's not a bad idea. Hayden says, ah yeah, found it, $39.98 pre-order. Nice. Ugly Bob says, totally worth it since Kath has the dirtiest laugh since Sid James.
Only when it's a...
Yeah. Sid James, what a classic. Right, so let's go for the prices. So we'll start from the top. So the Ryzen 5, oh, calculator's here. Kath did bring it in.
I did. Do you want?
Look at the state of that, Casio's finest. Yes, please.
Sharp. It's underneath my gardening gloves. It's in the messy drawer.
Ooh.
Even though the best room is like a messy drawer now, isn't it?
Dutch Jan's got 58.15 at Heaven. Sky says 600 quid. Toad says it's a 650 build. Yeah. Right, let's go through it. So I've got my, so the Ryzen 7500F, £150. The B650M-P, I got for 90, but it's normally 130, so I'm going to say 130. The case, £40. The CPU, sorry, the RAM. The RAM is 32 gigs of HyperX Fury. No, HyperX Beast RGB, 5600 mega transfers. Hard to get that for under 100 quid these days, so I'm going to just round that to 100. You might get it slightly cheaper. Corsair is probably better value, to be honest with you. CPU cooler, 30 quid, realistically. The M.2 drive, 35. Those are getting more expensive now. The GPU, we paid £100 for. The PSU, we paid £33 for. I'm going to say 34 because it's $33.99. The fans in the case, say another 30 quid for argument's sake. There's 3 of them in there. Top, 1 at the top, 2 at the front. So plus, and £5 for a Windows license for argument's sake. premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing. I can press the button now.
Oh, I need another
Boom.
MSI.
There we go. So, total price, if you can read past the smudge there, ignore the smudge, £654 would be what you would pay at retail for this particular system in pretty much the exact same configuration. But, being as we got a bit of discount on the processor, a bit of discount on the motherboard, and what else do we get a bit of discount on? I think that was about it. The fans, I suppose, arguably, we got those for free. Windows license was kind of, yeah, whatever. So, I would say, yeah, it's about $650. So, if I can sell this for about $6, I think I'll be pretty happy. So, for those of you that said somewhere between the $550 and £600 mark, give yourselves a shiny. You've all done very well. This calculator is filthy. I'm going to have to clean it. I have no option. I have no option but to shut the shop.
Use this if we're going to use anything. I don't want dirty stuff.
I was going to use IPA. Go on. Kath says, if you're going to use anything, use this. You don't want dirty stuff. Look at this, the clanky bits hanging around on the bottom of that. There we go. We're up to speed. You do, but just the right ones. Dave Inner says Unigine benchmark 1581 score, 4K on second PC, 5600G. Boom. William says read the joke in the chat.
My mum said she'd
My wife said she'd divorce me if I quoted Dr. Evil one more time. I told her, shush, shh, shh, shh. It's quite good. Toe says, to be honest, I enjoy these builds where people are grabbing bargains way more than the 7800 X3D 4090 builds. I agree. I think it's one of those things that actually building a system which has cost you a little bit less than what it would normally, I think it's one of those like really cool little things which just gives you a sense of achievement. So not only have you built your own PC, you've also saved a bit of money, which you can ultimately sell. You can ultimately spend on something else more important, such as mince pies or custard donuts, kittens, possibly. This, it's like new. I wonder when this is actually built. Does it say on the back? Casio Computer Limited, Tokyo, Japan.
Is that my gold one,
Yeah. No. Solar cell battery, DC 1.5 volt, used battery LR54 times 1. There's actually a battery in it. Oh, solar. Dave says, are you running out of isopropyl yet? I can get you a top up. No, I think it's actually still... I've barely scratched the surface of it. I actually decanted some of it into a smaller spray. David said, my wife said she would leave if I bought anything else on Amazon. I told, what is my credit card number? Oh, Jesus, that liquid was cloudy. Did it get at one of Mark Ullman's parties? Oh, God. No, that is actually where the chemical in here is actually started to break down the plastic in the top there. All right, let's get that over there. So I think the general consensus is we leave the system as it is, which I would say I'm slightly disappointed, but I actually at the same time I think that is the more sensible solution. And
right, I'm going to spill this on top of your motherboard.
Don't spill on motherboard.
I'll leave that to you.
Yeah.
Hey, Amy.
Computer Geek says $826.64 in USDs. Thank you very much, Computer Geek. Ugly Bob says, we had my office Christmas dinner the other day in the canteen. Turkey, roast ears and veg, and a large helping of Christmas pud and mince pies and custard. Talk about a Yule log in the toilet the next morning. I started reading it and I thought I'm going to probably regret reading this. Chris F says, nah, swap it. I am tempted. Yeah, Hayden says, so what CPU are you going to throw into that ASROCK board then? Now that is the question. See, this is where I kind of need a little bit of input from you lot. My sinuses are playing up again now. With a board such as this, obviously, we're going to be looking around about £600 realistically for another build on AM5. It's basically where you're going to end up. Even if you get some really spectacular deals, you're going to be spending £600 to £700. And do people want to spend that much money on a Micro ATX system? I don't think people, like if you're selling to people on Facebook Marketplace, they probably don't really know much about what it is they're really buying. They just see shiny and a price tag that suits their thing. And little Johnny or whatever's grabbing their and saying, Mum, I want this, I want this. And it's like, right, it's Christmas, yeah, going, just give the man the money. Let's go. It is one of those things. So if you were to put a more expensive processor on this board, where you're spending, maybe you're getting towards the £700 mark, I think it then becomes a very different beast, because if you put in something like a 7700 or 7700X, then you'll be thinking, right, graphics card, what am I going to put with that? What makes sense to go with that sort of level of processor? And you're going to be looking at something like the 6700 XT, 6800, maybe a 7800 XT, maybe a, well, you wouldn't want to put a 4060 with it. A 3060 Ti is probably about right, but ideally it wants something around the sort of 4070 mark, which then puts you in like ridiculous territory where you're spending an extra £400 on the graphics card. So then suddenly your system's over £1,000, and not many people are going to be wanting to spend £1,000 or more on what is effectively a second-hand computer, even if it's built from all brand new parts. As soon as you start selling it on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or whatever, it's a used system. You can sell it as new, built system, whatever, a boutique system, but you're still going to struggle. So that is where it kind of puts me in a weird position, that because it's Micro ATX, again, it's still, people don't necessarily want to spend that much money on a Micro ATX system. So I'll probably end up getting another 5700F. Sorry, another 7500F. But that's going to take a while to come.
Brad is tripping out on that RGB reflection in your tea.
Oh yeah. Ordinary Deuces, Mike, thoughts on the 7500F? I really like it. And to be honest with you, I think the 7500F, of all of the AM5 range, is probably the one which is the easiest to buy in terms of cheap from AliExpress. It's a good price. It doesn't generate a ton of heat. And it appears to be performing well above its price class. So there's not really anything which you could say negative about it. And also the fact that it competes really well with something... Careful, Mabes. It competes really well with something along the lines of maybe the 5800X, 5700X, that sort of thing, which are still in the 160 to 180 pounds mark, if not more. So yeah, I think it's a good thing. And if you're building a new system, I think building with AM4 is tempting because it's cheaper, but you do have to kind of really look at it and say you are getting into somewhat of a slightly dying ecosystem. Now, don't get me wrong, it will still go on for another 4 or 5 years. Motherboards and stuff will still be available. Processors will probably still be available as well. It does. But when it comes to maybe selling that system, you're going to have somewhat of a stigma attached to it because it is the older technology. But those in the know are going to be on the flip side and say, well, AM4 is super stable. You can basically buy pretty much any AM4 motherboard and processor and you kind of know where you stand. Whereas if you're buying AM5, you're still a little bit kind of, so where does all this stuff like live in the stack of performance? When you think of a 7500F, you wouldn't necessarily think of it as being a performance processor. But when you think of something like the 13400, 13600 or 13500, it's kind of similar to that, which is a £200 plus processor, which is a relatively good performance. So yeah, it's a really weird one. The 7500F does kind of twist my mind a little bit.
There's quite a lot of chat.
I'm looking at the chat, yeah. Toad says, yes, you do spend that much money on a Micro ATX system because ATX is too big and space is valuable. That is a good point. That is a very good point, actually. Shrek says, I would have used the Pro RS in the Micro ATX build because it's sort of white. It is, actually, yeah. It is. It's one of those nice boards where it kind of fits in with anything because you've got the white bits, you've got the silver accents, and you've obviously got the black bits as well. So it's got all those kind of tonal colours. It's very nice for that. It works well in a white case, it works well in a black case, it works well in a silver case, really. I never really realised actually what the Pro RS range was, or the RS range. RS stands for like Racing Special, or Racing Sport. Yeah. What the RS... The only thing that makes sense like for that RS would be if you're someone who follows cars, maybe you're thinking of like the RS turbos of the 90s, but the RS brand is kind of pretty much died a death.
Stability, how is it?
Stability wise, I'll be honest with you, I haven't been able to fault it. Even on an MSI motherboard, which is currently running on, it's been really good. And like, where am I? Let's go over to number 4. Where's my mouse gone? There we go. Number 4. So still, oh, it's still been running that, has it? Okay. So temperature wise, we're still, well, we're idling about 39 degrees, which is absolutely fine, what we expect. It hasn't drawn more than 90 watts. That's pretty cool. And 72 degrees Celsius. That is kind of nice.
What speed is the RAM in that rig?
The RAM speed in this is 5600. So it's not the fastest. And I think it's only CAS latency 36. But we'll do a quick reboot, like the updates are done now. So we'll time how long it takes to reboot in terms of speed. It's actually very impressive.
How's the ASROCK BIOS? Heard that they have settings that don't do anything because they reuse the same BIOS for all their boards and don't bother changing anything between them.
That is very possible, but I haven't gone into that much depth on it yet, unfortunately. Let's do a quick restart and let's start.
Ahmed, can I use it with a? This was about the one that was how stable is it?
Yeah.
Can I use it with 7950 X3D and 96 DDR5 RAM and 230?
Yeah, it'll support up to 192 gigabytes.
And 23090.
23090s probably not. No, one of them would be fine.
I thought I'd better repeat that bit.
Right, MSI. Yeah, I'm glad you did. So come on, let's get to Windows. And there we go. Oh, it's gone blank again. So there's about 30 seconds to reboot. That's including, that's from the moment I clicked on reboot rather than turning it on. So that's actually not too bad at all. Most systems will take a lot longer now. Actually,
But
if
Lexar
I...
done it, that's the thing, you've got no signal
Yeah.
on here.
Let's do shutdown. I was thinking that, shit, I just shut down the streaming PC. I haven't. Yeah, 23090s on a Micro ATX board is ridiculous unless you're buying a full-size case. Right. So from the moment I press the power button, so let's get my stopwatch, reset, and oh, stop. Stop, you bastard. Right. Start. I started the watch just slightly short. Slightly before. So let's see when our Windows desktop comes up.
But does it go like this?
It will do very briefly, but I want it to be the very first time we see the Windows desktop. There we go, stop. So 18 seconds and 94 tenths of a second, or hundredth of a second. That is fast. And it has been, touch wood, it's been super reliable. It hasn't died at all. I've had no issues with it at all. ASROCK spells croaks. Nice. How's the ASROCK BIOS? Oh, you've had that one. It's a shame actually, if I'd have done the build in it, you could have a look. I will do a BIOS tour on that actually and see what the deal is. I think the early AM5 BIOSes from ASROCK were awful, but from what I've been hearing from other people, they have improved tremendously, which is always nice. Dutch Jan says, what is special on a motherboard, on a main board? More features means higher price. Yeah, it's just working out what you need really. What you need out of your motherboard. If you need a certain type of slots or you've got specific plans. Like for me, because obviously doing the YouTube stuff, I'm very much aware that potentially I'm going to be installing a capture card like the one I've got in the PC behind me, which at the moment is like slap bang above our RTX 3060 Ti, which I'm not sure if you can even see there. Oh, you can just about see it. So just underneath, there's the Elgato card. And I so wanted to just put it in the bottom slot, but that hasn't got a full-size slot, which is MSI never seems to want to do that for some reason. And also Asus for that matter. I don't know why. You'd think they would. But then I suppose you've got the M.2 slots down there. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate. Mr. Lawagi, sorry, says, wow, that's good. Taking my PC 45 seconds to boot up. Yeah, this is a quick little machine, it really is. In pretty much most ways that you could think of. It just runs really nicely. Shrek says, ASROCK Boss works fine, but still ugly. See, I don't mind it at all. I think it's actually not too bad. Ugly but functional. Antonio says, for 8000G, would you go with an even cheaper A620 or still this ASROCK, considering you don't upgrade APU, you just keep it and use it? I think if you're buying an APU-based system, again, it's one of those weird contradictory things that if you're buying an APU system, clearly gaming performance isn't really your key thing, because otherwise you just buy a graphics card. So, are you bothered about frames per second if you're buying an APU? That's the weird thing. If you are interested in frames per second and you're buying an APU, then you have to buy a board which will allow overclocking, because generally the best way of getting performance out of an APU, traditionally with AM4, was to go into the BIOS and do some tweaking. Bit of undervolting, turning up the memory speeds, the GPU speeds, that sort of thing. So you're not going to be able to do that on an A620 chipset. So you're going to be spending more money on a little bit more, probably not a great deal more, on a B650 motherboard to get the most out of your APU. But we don't know whether or not the APUs will even overclock, if there's any headroom in them at all. Being that the thermal limits of AM5 at the moment are ridiculous anyway. They try and hit 95 degrees Celsius on pretty much most of the chips. It's going to be a very weird place to be. That's something I've always found with the APU systems. It's kind of like you're stuck in this really weird place where you've got a lot of things kind of going against you and things limiting you. If they turn out and say that the G series are going to be PCI Express Gen 3 rather than Gen 4, or no Gen 5 support at all, I think it's going to be, again, one of those things where it's like, well, why? Who does this appeal to in the market? It's just going to be, again, the typical APU crowd where it's going to be mini ATX systems, which really nowadays, for some mini ATX, if you're going with mini ATX, you might as well just buy one of those little box computers from like B-Link or Ace PC and just be done with it. I don't know. Dutch Jan says, my PC was freshly installed and also very fast, but now it takes a little longer. They do. The more things you install on it, the slower it's going to get. Terry Trickett's in the house. How you doing, Terry? And Antonio? Yeah, that's a good point, Antonio. To Ahmed, saying, don't mean any disrespect, but if you can afford two 3090s and a 7950 X3D, you can afford a quality motherboard that has more slots and is more suited to what you're actually trying to do. But who am I to judge? That is the beauty of PC components and PC building. You basically build whatever you say. Toad says, Mike, I'm offended. You're saying that good ITX? Can't see the rest of that. B-Link. I'm not a big fan of ITX builds. Much like I'm not really a fan of Micro ATX to some extent. I can see where it fits in and I see that there is a perceivable value in it, but it's always like, whenever you start minimizing stuff, you start spending more. And I've always been of the mindset of kind of value for money. So buying ATX parts, which are generally either better value or the same price or even less in some instances, it sometimes makes sense to go with a slightly bigger box. But then if you haven't got the room for it, again, I understand totally. David notices again, APU only for pre-built systems where buyers wouldn't even know what Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5 support is. Yeah, again, so it's one of those things, it's kind of like, it's not smoke and mirrors. It's almost misleading to say that you're getting something which you're kind of really not. But then again, manufacturers are not our friends. They are there purely and solely to service the shareholders and to extract as much cash out of the public as they possibly can without getting into trouble. So yeah, APUs actually in that respect make a ton of sense. More so for laptops, I think. Desktop APUs, I don't think make a huge amount of sense. Unless, again, you are ridiculously strapped for space. But if you're that strapped for space, again, you might as well just buy the laptop version in one of those little B-Link boxes or Ace PC or whatever your choice of brand is, because they kind of, it's done for you. Just plug it in and it's generally going to be smaller than any ITX box. Yeah, ITX tax is horrendous. Well, it's like today on UK Hot Deals, Tog posted a Gigabyte B550i mini ITX motherboard, which was down to £130, which, if you think about it, for ITX actually is bloody good. But at the same time, £130 gets you a B550 Tomahawk or a B550 Gaming Edge Wi-Fi. So you're getting this tiny little motherboard, which yeah, is good. It's got some decent VRMs and stuff on it, but it's still got all of those entrapments of ITX because you're paying the ITX tax. So yeah, it's a shame. Shrek says, Micro ATX cases are usually better quality at the same price points, but the US case market is not the same as the UK. Yeah, in the UK, the case market is really weird. Like, Micro ATX cases used to be quite cheap, but now basically all cases are kind of expensive. The days of like £20 and £30 cases are long, long gone. This is like £40 for this, I think, is actually, it's not great because it's £40. It's more than what we're used to spending over here in the UK, but it's a decent case. I like it. And the ventilation is actually surprisingly good. I didn't think it would be with a solid front panel, but it does seem to breathe quite well. But saying that, we've got relatively moderate components on here. And even the top fan, not really pushing much out. But yeah, nice PC. You haven't seen the underside yet. It's quite nice. Quite nice. Shrek says £130 is a lot for AM4. It is. Especially when you consider what we can get for AM5. You can pick up a reasonable AM5 board for that same money in full-size ATX, which obviously, when it comes to things like VRMs and stuff, a B650 board is going to have much better VRM capacities than any B550, as it was with the B450. When you went from B450 to B550, like even the entry-level B550 board had a far superior VRM to the top of the range B450 because they were designed for a type of processor. Ahmed says, please are complaining from Asus motherboards from AM5. I'm not too sure what you mean there, but if you're meaning are people still complaining about the BIOSes that were on Asus boards, I don't think so. It hasn't been as prominent in the news. I know a lot of YouTubers have been mentioning it. I'll be honest with you, that B650 Tough Gaming I've got in the PC behind me, it's on the latest BIOS and it's a sweet PC. It sings, it really does. It does a really good job. I've now downgraded it from the 7700X to the 7700 Non-X, which we got from AliExpress on a deal. And that thing's been yeah, doing great. It's currently streaming this stream at the moment with just a 120mm tower cooler from Noctua. That's the NHU12S, I think it is, with the replacement fan on the front. And we're currently idling, oh no, sorry, we're not idling. We're streaming this stream at the same time as doing all the other PC stuff. And we're currently at 43 degrees Celsius, whereas this thing is idling and doing nothing at about 38, 39. So it's only about 4 degrees extra for a PC, which is actually streaming a live stream, which is kind of nuts, really. And also it's got Armory Crate and all that stuff in the background, which is using up resources. So yeah, it's really good. I'm pleased with it. And it's certainly been, it seems to be more stable than MSI boards, which is kind of disappointing. Although saying that, this MSI board, the B650M-P Pro, or Pro M-P, seems to be really good. And I've done multiple restarts. It's normally with AM5 systems, they're fine when they're working, but it's when you turn them off and then turn them back on again, they don't want to boot up. And it's like, what the is going on? Why will you not boot? I've just been using you. I just rebooted you. Give me a break. Anyway.
Hey, Poppy.
David says my 5600G was good until I got GPU, then got the 5600X and used the 5600G in another motherboard. The 5600G is pretty decent. I remember using that, I think, in my InWin B1, was it? It was kind of nice in there. Dave says he loves his AP201 full mesh. We reviewed that. It's a good case. Ordering Dude says, by the way, Mike, I recently got the Sama, is it IM01 or LM01 Pro case? No, Sama aren't over here. Very rare we actually see any of those. But I will make a note of it. And I will keep an eye out for one of those. Muckless says, I will post my new build, Mike, on Discord in the Cooler Master Cosmos C700M. Massive, over 20 kilo case. Yeah, the Cosmos was a big boy, wasn't it? I remember that. Toad says the Sama IM01 is... Okay, cheers, Dave. Thank you, Dave, for stopping by. I was looking at the time. Yeah, that's right. David... Oh no. Mark Berry says, fitted a Thermaltake Assassin X120 RSE a couple of days ago. So far, so good. Yeah, the Thermaltake Assassins, the 120s, are all good value for money. Definitely. David Under says, cheapest AM5 motherboard 6 months ago was $350 here. Now most are under $250, some are under $200. A620 are only $129, which is quite impressive because that's Aussie dollars. So at the moment the exchange rate from Aussie dollars to UK pounds is somewhere around about double, I think. But this is something which actually I noticed more so because I was having this conversation, well, not a conversation, but I was discussing this with, who was I discussing this with? I've got to think back to my emails now. What have I been doing this week, Kath? Techware. Techware, that was it. So the Techware keyboard, they said to me, they sent an email saying, how are you getting on with the keyboards, everything all good, you happy? So yeah, great stuff. Done one of the reviews already, the other one's on its way. And I said, great keyboard, feels amazing, really nice to use. Shame it's not in the UK layout. The other thing I did notice is the slight discrepancy. So if you're buying it in America, you're looking at $55 for the Techware Phantom Plus, whereas in the UK it's $79.99. And they came back and said, well, yeah, that is because obviously you got sales tax in America, which if you're shopping on Amazon, I don't think you see the sales tax unless you're logged in or you go to checkout, which I'm not too sure actually. If there's anybody watching that is in the US and you're using Amazon, let me know. Do they include sales tax on the product page, or does it wait until you check out? Or does it add in somewhere separately? Because I know that not I could be wrong, but is there federal and state tax? And are they sometimes different values depending on what state you're in? Shrek says sales tax is seen at the checkout page. Okay. Rick H says no, it adds it at the end. And Shrek says, oh, so you only have state taxes, you don't have federal taxes, no? Computer Geek in the US waits to check out, okay. But sales tax is different per state. So depending where you live, you may pay a different price altogether. So you have to excuse my ignorance here, because obviously in the UK, I've only ever known the UK pricing structure, and I see YouTube videos. So when you watch a YouTube video and they say, like a Windows license key, for example, they say your Windows license key will be $20 using this promo code. Does it then cost you $20 plus your state sales tax? Is that how it works? I'm guessing it would be.
What temp is it in here?
22.2. David understands in Oz it's illegal to quote non-taxed price in most ads. Computer Geek says yes. Okay. Rick H says yes. So everything is the price plus. Oh, right. Okay. Because we quite often see that. You see the American prices and the quoted prices on YouTube sites, YouTube videos. They say, oh, this is only X amount of dollars. And you think, well, that sounds really cheap. But then I guess if they're not including sales tax, which is, I don't know, how much is sales tax over there? Let me know what state you're in and what your sales tax is. I'm guessing it's going to be, what, 20%? Same as our value added tax in the UK, which is included.
A lot of places don't add VAT, do they?
Hmm. What, in the UK?
Yeah, they're starting to bring that in more.
Yeah.
Some sites don't add it, so it, like Royal Mail, for example, and Parcel Force. When you look at the real price, including that, it's like quite a bit more, obviously.
Shrek says it's plus 9% or so sales tax. Ohio sales tax is 7.5.
So it's loads less than our tax.
8% in Illinois. Rick H in Washington. Is that Washington? WA?
Yeah. I'm assuming,
yeah. 9.3%. High tax states are around 9%. So, yeah, we have 20%.
Sometimes it's 25, isn't it? Didn't it go down recently?
No, our VAT was 15% back in the 80s and 90s. In the 90s, it went up to 17.5%. And I think round about the beginning of the 2000s, thereabouts, it went up to 20% VAT, so value added tax. But in the UK, it's always added on at the point of sale, unless you're shopping somewhere which is a business orientated site. So if you're shopping at somewhere like a trade place, they would quote the ex VAT price because businesses can claim back the VAT or value added tax. So when you do your tax return, if you turnover, I think it's over 80,000 or 85,000 pounds a year, you can be VAT registered, at which point then when you do your tax return, you claim all of your VAT back. But you still pay it at some point, but you can claim it all back.
Pay it on everything you earn, you pay it on everything you buy.
Aletta says, I liked it when I lived in Florida because they have no sales tax. That's cool. That's cool. Gary says, sales tax may include a city or county add-on. Yeah. Well, regardless of the add-on, you're still getting it much cheaper in theory than what we are in the UK. Oh, that's interesting. So in Florida, homeowners insurance costs make up for it. How strange. But that's how things work. Everything is a little bit different. So I think I'm going to turn this off now so I can actually see the screen. But is there anything else you want me to show you or find out, or anything else you want to know about this little build with the 7500F? If there is, please let me know now. Where's that? O'Reilly says something. TechWare Phantom 87 key mechanical keyboard, RGB LED, Automu brown switch, $44.99 plus shipping and handling. Oh, that's the old version. So the Phantom Plus is the new one. That's the one I was referring to, which is a bit different pricing. Computer Geek says New Jersey levies a 6.625% sales tax. That must be really hard to work out at the point of sale. Because like over here in the UK it's like 20%, so it's a nice round number, it's pretty easy to do, but 6.625%, that's like really hard. My brain hurts just thinking about that. Sales tax is 8% in Illinois. Irie Wolfman says RX 5800 is end of line. No more driver support. Yeah. Thanos is in the house. Gonna do a magic snap, get rid of half of us. It says, hey Mike Thanos, how are you? Nice PC you got there. Today I clean mine from dust. I clean the PC every 6 months. Am I okay? Clean it whenever it needs cleaning. If you ever see there's a layer of dust on your chassis, just give it a blast out. There isn't really a tried or tested thing. Every home is going to be different.
Not doing it ever.
Kath's never cleaned hers, but that's because she's a lazy bastard and I end up doing it.
Why have a dog and bark yourself?
Exactly. Mike says, what is the CPU cooler? That is the, I've got a box here. The Gelid Phantom Black. We reviewed this ages and ages and ages ago. And this does, well, it supports up to 200 watts TDP, which at the time when it came out was nuts because there wasn't a processor that even used that much wattage. But as things as they are now, it's very bad. Ian W says we have Costco in the UK who add VAT at the checkout. Yeah, Costco is one of those kind of business type outlets like Macro and other kinds of wholesalers. Deathcore Pringles says greetings folks. How you doing, Deathcore? So I feel like I've failed somewhat in tonight's stream task of actually installing that motherboard into this case, but in hindsight, I think I've actually made the right decision by leaving it as it is. Because of what it is and the level of performance it is, I think it works as it is quite well. The only thing which is a little bit of a bummer is the fact that it hasn't got Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, which some people might like, but it is relatively straightforward to add it. So, anyway. William Bodie says, we got 2 taxes here in Germany, 7% and 19%. All prices are inclusive tax. Okay. That's quite a lot, huh? Mookie MC says, what type of user is that PC best set up for? Gamer, content creator, streamer, productivity, or home office user? To be honest with you, it's actually set up for all of it. You could use it for probably streaming. I don't know, GTX 1080 is probably not ideal for streaming, but you can stream on it. Content creator, GTX 1080 would be fine in Adobe Premiere. Gamer, yeah, GTX 1080 was probably one of the best, if not the best, like the GOAT of graphics cards. So in terms of gaming, it's going to be good. Home office user, I think it's going to be a bit of everything. If you wanted to use it as a home office PC and you're going to do your accounts and your taxes on it, but you also, at your lunch break, you want to play games, it's going to be fine for that. The best thing about it is the fact that it is very low kind of wattage and the thermals and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, just reading there. So the B650 Pro RS annoyance, third M.2 slot is over a mounting hole, so you can't remove the motherboard from the case with the third M.2 installed. Oh, was that the ATX version? I'm just checking in here now. Ah, where's it? It's here. Oh yeah, yeah, that's absolutely right. So yeah, if you've got, actually, I'm gonna try that because it looks really close, but I'm not sure whether it's too close. Just get my drift. Oh, what am I doing? Oh, my brain. I was just looking for a drive. It's like, there is one literally there. So let's see. Let's do the overhead. Is that visible? Yeah, there you go. So yeah, with that in place, it does cover up that mounting hole. Oops. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a little bit of a pain, isn't it?
Here you go, find your mummy.
Yes. How awkward.
I'm going to check on in a minute what makes.
probably wants you to watch him have a wee.
No, he wants to have some food, but I don't know if there's any out there. Lady left you food.
Right, M.2 drive, stay there. Ow! That really hurt.
That did have quite a lot of bass.
God, that did hurt my elbow.
That's a funny bone.
Just caught my elbow on the side of this case, and the case won. It's quite painful, that was actually. Just goes to show it is a sturdy case.
It is.
Dutch Jan says Mike RX 580 is the GOAT. I don't know. The 1080 has got a little bit more of a historic thing. The 580, I suppose, in terms of longevity and that kind of feel-good feeling, because it was AMD's competitor, I guess it definitely does have that. But along with it, it also had the fact that the 580 was a 480, and the 480 wasn't much of an improvement on the previous generation. So yeah, it's very easy to romanticize about AMD graphics cards, because they are, well, they're not, but they're supposed to be the underdog. Just because a company earns less money and makes less money doesn't necessarily make them the underdog. It just makes them a competitor.
I'm probably back.
I don't know. All companies at the moment are doing just weird things and just behaving weirdly. So it's hard to say. I used to be a massive fan of AMD, and I still am to some extent, but I would deliberately try to not build an Intel system or avoid Intel purely because AMD was doing the right thing on the desktop platform. But I don't know if that's still valid. I think the prices now have become very close to Intel. The only thing that AMD really have up their sleeve is longevity of the platform. And also, they don't do stupid refreshes where the next gen processor is basically the same processor, which Intel have a habit of doing. Anyway, I digress. William says, hey fellas, change your name so we can write to you. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Hayden Trent says, yeah, 1080 have kept like over £100 or thereabouts value. RX 580 for everywhere as much as 80 and as little as 50. Yeah, the 1080s are seeming to hold on to their value. And it is, 1080 is an 8 gig card, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is. Because the 1070 was an 8 gig card as well. Irie says, does anybody on eBay sell their GPU at a reasonable price yet? Probably not. There's always going to be, I think it's the same for Facebook Marketplace or any kind of places where they sell stuff. It's always going to be like weird prices. Alexa says, it's weird, I bought a Silicon Power 2TB NVMe M.2 for $85. The 1TB version was $105. Silicon Power are really well known for doing that. Their pricing structure sometimes is very, very weird. So if they've got a lot of capacity of some particular drive and they want to clear it, they will do it at ridiculous prices, or they'll artificially jack up the price of the lower model to make it so that, like, well, why would I buy the smaller one? Like over here, Silicon Power M.2 drives, like the A60, is it, or whatever it was? These were like £40 for 1TB or £80 for 2TB. So it's kind of, doesn't really matter whatever you do, you're getting the same value for money, but if you want a bigger drive, get the bigger drive. But then they started doing it so it was like £60 for the 1TB or £80 for the 2TB. So it's like, well, yeah, obvious. What you're going to do. Right, bear with me 1 second. I have to use the little boy's room, so I'm going to run upstairs. I can't hold it no more. I'm going to try and do that now, if I can remember which button it is. Which button is it? And I'm back in the room.
Amazing.
And you've had a cat show. Oh, and you're letting the cat eat the bloody...
No, don't eat that. It's bad for you.
Oh, the cat's eating the bloody things. Hey, Mabes. Wagwan. You alright? Can you hear me now? No, not my tea. Get off my cup of tea. You're a bad monkey. And you're not even a monkey. Which one is that? Otis! Hey Maisie, who's that?
She don't want to be on camera, I don't think.
Irie Wolfman says, are they clotted cream mince pies? No, they're not, unfortunately. No, they are...
They did have
just butter...
brandy, weren't they?
Butter brandy. Gary says, too much tea. Yeah, I drank because I had a headache, and there's still a bit there now, but I drank a load of water before I started the stream, and it was probably a bad idea. Irie Wolfman says, get out of my tea. Dunk. Do you want to play ball? Keep away from Maisie's tail, she'll go nuts. She will rip you a new one. Oh. Bloody cats. Mincemeat layer trifle. Ugh. Happy Saturday. Thanks, Irie Wolfman. Shrek says, Thermaltake has some really interesting low profile coolers. They have a mini version of the AK120 that comes in at 135mm. Yeah, they're, we did the S100, no, SI100, which was actually really nice and low profile. I think I've still got it here, actually. Yes, there we go. The Thermaltake. I'm actually, Bob, in case you're wondering, I haven't forgotten, I've still got the JF100 RS crystal up there on the shelf to review, which is written on the board over there. The board has gone down a bit, so there's 1, 2, 3, actually no, I couldn't have done that one today. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 videos on the list to do. So we're getting through them. We're getting through them slowly but surely, which was good because we were at about 18 at one point. So I'm catching up.
Stephen AU says,
There's a low profile cooler. That's the SI100. So it's 100mm.
hello.
Hello.
Stephen AU says, hey, I updated BIOS to the latest version, but I'm stuck on the ASROCK screen. What should I do?
If you're stuck on the ASROCK screen, that's probably a good sign. But it depends what else it says. Is there any message at the bottom saying like press F1 to reset to defaults or something? I'm not too sure. I'm not sure. Post a picture of your screen, if you possibly can, onto Discord. You might need to press the delete button to get into the BIOS to make some configuration changes. If you've updated your BIOS, there's a strong chance that you've now enabled UEFI, in which case if your hard disk drive or SSD or M.2 was formatted in the older MBR style, your system can't recognize it, so can't boot from it. So that might be some reason why you're stuck on the ASRock logo. It's hard to say for sure, but I'll put the link in the chat. So the link for our Discord is there. You're more than welcome to join. We can do our best to try and help you out and see if we can figure what is going on there. So yeah, S100 low profile. Thermaltake, I think personally, are basically at the top of their game. It's one of those companies which have done so well in the last probably 2 to 3 years. They've come on massively and are now very much what I would consider to be like a first choice candidate if you're buying cooling. That was the sound of Poppy running up the stairs at full tilt. And most of our kids are down here.
Only one.
Oh. Which one?
Otis.
Otis. Where did I get to? Harry Wolfman says it's his birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's not. Ugly Bob says I'm drunk. I can't remember what I've sent. Lol. Oh, that's right then. I'm still working out what I'm going to do about this desk behind me because it is actually collapsing slowly. Not the desk, the unit at the back. Would you guys be upset to not have this in the background anymore? I actually quite like having it here because it's quite handy for storage, but it is starting to fall apart, which was inevitable. So I either have to reinforce it with some wooden blocks underneath or do something else altogether.
Cat tree, cat tree.
I'm almost tempted to go the other way around and have the desk that side on the back wall and just move the camera around that way, but I don't know. That probably won't work either. I have these ideas, very limited to the size of the room. Very limited to the size of the room.
Poppy.
Mookie MC says this stream is almost a variety show. PC builds, tech info, comedy, animal surprises. All that's missing is a little song and dance. Who is the best singer? Definitely Poppy at the moment. Can you hear her?
She keeps talking to her babies. But like any parent, they take no notice.
Alessa says I'm looking for a water block for my 6900 XT. Air cooling is not doing the job. If you had an NVIDIA card, it would be much cooler. Just saying. I'm not an NVIDIA shill. I'm really not. Nero says make sure the PC doesn't fall off it. I don't think it will. Because this top shelf, behind the actual, these unit, or these things, I'm not sure if you can see it actually. So, no, you can't see it in there. There's actually brackets underneath there holding the top shelf up. So the top shelf is kind of like solid, it ain't going anywhere. But it's the bottom bit is the one which is the problematic bit because the weight of all of these cables and bits and pieces is all mounting up. And like this is, I think, is about, it's got to be 10 to 15 kilos. And they're all roughly that. So it's about, like, it's almost like having a person in shelving. Mabes, what's going on? You're going to go and have a sit down, go on. Maisie? Alright, get in your box. Mark Berry says I had that GPT MBR problem. Not as easy as it looks sometimes. No, it isn't. And I think I'm lucky at the moment that pretty much every PC we've got here is currently on the GPT file format. I think the only one that might not be is CAF's. CAF's PC is still...
Fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It defies time and space.
Got her PC, Hello Kitty PC stuff.
Hello Kitty PC.
Apart from the last part arrive on the 21st and it's got to be ready for Christmas.
Mookie MC says, how high are the ceilings in most UK homes? Can you make it a 2-level area? No. Most of the, well, the door frames are 72 inches, so that's basically 6 foot. And there's about another...
I think they're higher than 6 foot, aren't they?
2 foot maybe?
My brother can fit through.
Actually no, yes,
He doesn't duck to come through them, does he?
maybe they're 78. It might be 78 or 80. But yeah, most UK homes, the ceiling average height is about 8 foot.
They've discovered the boingy thing. They sound like Beavis and Butthead out there.
Yeah.
Boing.
Mark Bray says there are ways of converting from MBR to GPT, but a clean install is quicker. Definitely, yeah, if you don't mind doing a clean install, I think clean install is probably the way to go. Short doors, I'd hit my head. Kath, you're going to have to measure it now. Get the tape measure out and see how big the door frame is.
No, but I'm not very good at measuring.
I think the door frame is 78 inches. I should know this. I used to work in a place called Wix in the UK, which is basically like a DIY store. And they sell like insulation, timber, concrete, building materials, bricks, mortar, all that sort of stuff. So I guess it's going to be about 80. 72, I was thinking that's 6 foot, isn't it?
What am I doing? Centimetres or?
Centimetres or inches, both be ideal.
So 6 foot 6.
6 foot 6, so that is 78, isn't it?
Just, well, actually, it's quite a bit there, I suppose, isn't it? Yeah, it's just under 6 foot 6.
Yeah, 6 foot 6, so that is 78 inches, which is in millimeters and centimeters is. I'm trying to work it out now. So it's 180, about 190, no, 200.
197-ish.
197. I was close. I said 200. That's close. 3 centimeters isn't a lot. That's about 3 centimeters.
What is that?
That. So yeah, and from there to the ceiling is about another 2 foot at best. So yeah, 6 foot 8, 6 foot 6 plus another 2. Yeah, so it's about 8.5 foot, 8 foot, 8.5. Shrek says door frames are 72 inches. They're 80 here, 84 in older homes. Yeah, ours. Sorry, I got that wrong. Yeah, Chris Hartford says 6'6" is the standard. I can't believe I couldn't remember that. Mind you, I did work at Wix in the 90s, so it's been like 20, 30 years.
That's scary.
Oh dear. Well, this PC hasn't crashed yet. I'm quite pleased with that, so I'm going to turn it off. If I can remember how to do it. HDMI 4, there we go. Where are we? Actually, did I install MSI Center? Yes, I did. That's right. Just wanted to check that. Shut down. This is a great little PC. It really is. I'm actually quite proud of this one. I shouldn't be, but I am. Well, I say I shouldn't be. I should be proud because you should always be proud of the PCs you build. But sometimes you build a PC and it's kind of like you've got no heart in it or no heart and soul. And it happens from time to time. And I find that I build a PC and it's like, oh, I really didn't like that PC. I'm glad it's gone. But with this one, it's going to be one of those ones where I'm kind of like, yeah, done a pretty good, a pretty okay-ish job on that. Is that keyboard off yet? Yes.
Oh, I'll flick his ball for him. No, not that way.
Oh.
Dave.
Dave. Yes, we do have a cat called Dave. You going to play, Dave? Has he just woken up?
Not long, I think.
You're getting blue eyes now, aren't you? A little bit.
You had blue eyes before and they're going green.
Do you want to go on that? Not keen? Don't blame you. A bit bored, isn't it? Oh no. There is life in the old dog yet. Poppy! Poppy! Dave is actually colour coded to the PC. He is black and white and bits of grey. Mookie MC says, would you replace the storage unit in the back with something else? I kind of like the storage drawers. Having the pattern on the holes makes the background more interesting. Yeah, it is. That was the kind of the idea in the beginning, to kind of break it up a bit or to give a little bit more depth, because we don't have a lot of room here, so it's really hard to get the camera far enough back to get you that sense of depth and it not feel like compressed and tight. So yeah, sorry, Kath's distracted me there. SPG33 says, is electricity still expensive in the UK? Yes, it is, yeah. And it's about to get more expensive as well. They just announced they're going to put it up because it's winter and people are cold, so they're going to put the prices up.
Until March.
Until March, yeah. They're going to reduce the prices in March because winter's over then. So
they've done this every year.
Every single year for at least 20 years.
Since we lived here, isn't it?
They've basically put the electric up in the winter and reduced it in the summer, which is ridiculous because it costs the same amount of money to generate electricity. Yes, there's more demand for it, but why should that mean that you can charge more for it just because there's demand? It's supposed to be like something which everyone has an entitlement to use. Next thing you know, they'll be putting water up in the summer because it gets hot and you want to drink more. The bastards.
Water your garden.
Yeah. Assholes. I really do hate the powers that be. Rick H says, once you learn how much you're worth, you'll stop giving people discounts. That's a very, very true thing. Average is £2,000 a year for UK electric. I think we're like, to be honest with you, like even though we've got the studio lights on, everything else in the house is pretty much darkness. So no Christmas lights up this year, no Christmas decorations, no LEDs outside. We haven't done for a long time because it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, this room has got the light on, a light, not two lights, whereas we used to have two studio lights, we've only got the one now. My PC's off, normally that would be left on. This PC I've turned off now because I was slightly conscious of it being on. The kitchen lights are off, hallway lights are off. George is in his bedroom, so his light's on, and his computer's on. All the other rooms in the house, everything is turned off pretty much. So we are...
We try not to have electric in our
Yeah,
bedroom.
we try not to use electricity anyway, even before all of this nuts, crazy stuff started happening. So we haven't done much, but yeah, I go through two different mindsets. I go through one mindset where I think, I'm so cold, I don't care, I just want to be warm. So whatever it costs. But then on the flip side, I also think, actually, I don't want to give these bastards money, especially when they're overcharging for stuff. And especially when they've got like a stranglehold on it, so you don't have a choice. But even if you change suppliers, they're all basically the same company anyway. They're all buying from the same place. So it's just who is screwing you more than the next.
But when you change suppliers, they don't change your pipes.
Who's that growling? Is that outside?
That's the wind.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, energy is pretty expensive here. Mookie MC says, back in the day before auto white balance, a friend bought a cat with a shade of grey just to help balance his camera. Good tax write-off.
I did buy Maisie because she was the same colour as our carpet.
Hello, James. And hello, Sunny Side Up. Our good mucker, James Miscellaneous in the house.
Imagine having a naught. A point naught.
Yeah. My electricity is 0.01 pence per kilowatt. I don't even know how much our electricity is in the UK, but it's... Hey Siri, how much is the average price per kilowatt of electricity in the UK?
Don't want to speak now.
Yeah, keep quiet when you know it's going to be something you don't want to hear. Average cost of... There we go. I don't want that. Average cost of electricity per kilowatt hour in the UK from 2023 to 2024.
They've already updated it then. 40 to 50p.
Right, yeah.
Chris says, Mark says 35p.
So electricity, they're saying on this site, which is wrong, they are saying it's 28.6 pence. But that's the capped price, allegedly. So, and gas at the moment is 7.4 pence. So if you're heating or cooking with electricity rather than gas, you're insane. because it costs 4 times as much to do it, and gas normally tastes better, I think, for cooking. My opinion.
I don't know about tasting
My opinion.
better. It's just more efficient, isn't it? Because as soon as you turn it on, it's working with electricity. You've got to wait for it all to heat up.
Alessa says, I have solar cells in my room. It cuts my electricity bill in half most months. Oh God, that'd be great. Trouble is, in the UK, our weather is mostly cloudy. So
Not even cloudy,
it's just crap.
Just
Yeah.
fog.
Chris Harper says 40 to 50p. Yeah, Mark Berry says about 35p per kilowatt. Ugly Bob says $1 million. So that is why when we're talking about graphics cards, especially in the UK, considering the ludicrous amount of money we pay for electricity, you can understand why we are swayed more towards NVIDIA than we are AMD. And there's a super chat from a good friend of the channel, Domus Mark, who has sent us 350 ZAR. Says, sorry for the delay, but congrats on the 100k subscribers. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Actually, I can plug that back in there so I can actually control my keyboard and mouse again. I'm not even sure how much or even what a ZAR is. I always forget that. Why am I such an idiot when it comes to remembering that sort of stuff? Let's celebrate their first super on a live stream. I just did, I think. Thank you very much. That is much appreciated. Oh, why is me? Oh, turn my keyboard off, haven't I? Moron. Hayden says, yeah, we were smart enough to keep our gas fire when more homes in the area had theirs removed. And actually, like, because we got the wood burner, which is literally there, and we've used that not as much this year, but normally that is...
But only because of the kittens.
Yeah, because the kittens are young.
And they're a bit silly at the moment.
Ah, ZAR is a South African rand. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Mookie says, can you still burn coal in a fireplace in the UK? You can in some areas.
You can here.
There are, yeah, we're in South Gloucestershire, or Gloucestershire, or Gloucester, however you want to say it. And we are just on the outskirts of Bristol Council, or Bristol City Council. So Bristol Council, which is basically a couple of roads over, they can only use smokeless coal. And in the UK, in here, sorry, we can basically burn printer cartridges if we want to.
And tyres.
And tyres, and things like that.
Probably not good for a chimney.
David Arnold says that is £14.75 British pounds at current exchange. Thank you, Dom. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Muckless says, 100k Mike, what a fantastic journey. Hate to use that word. I think I'm subscribed from under 10k. Yeah, I think you were along towards the beginning, or the early days at least anyway. Looks like it was painted by Mr. Bean. What was that?
Is that maybe the sky?
The sky? Yeah.
I don't know. We're not going to burn tyres.
Toad says, please don't burn car tyres. We don't.
We
I'm
don't use
joking.
our car enough to get through tyres now.
Yeah. Dave Inner says, we can't burn coal here, but billions of tons of coal goes past here each year for export.
Is that to charge the electric cars?
Yeah. Dutch Jan says, be careful with the heat pump. If you have radiators, you have to adjust them. William Bodie says, I do follow another YouTuber from Bristol too. Who's that? Is that the streamer?
No, it's me.
Oh, Calf? Yeah. Yeah, you do.
No,
Calf is another YouTuber. Is that the one you follow?
I don't know if it is, I'm joking.
It could be Calf.
He does follow me.
If not, there might be 3 that you follow.
Mm.
There's something I found actually very, well, not unusual, but very, very pleasing, I should say, is this power supply in this PC. This is that R size, which I don't really like the name of, the Golden Field 650 watt semi-modular. It's actually really quiet, and it's really nice that all of the cables that you need are actually, like, it's semi-modular, but you've got the 24 pin, you've got the 8 pin for EPS, and you've got 2 8 pin for GPU, like 6+2s, included straight away. So I didn't actually have to plug in anything else, which was kind of nice.
He follows the Bristol Thunderbird.
The Bristol Thunderbird.
And Ugly Bob, the other Bristol YouTuber. That's who he thinks it is.
The, you?
No. Michelle Thorne.
Michelle Thorne. Oh, who's that? Is that Flame coming in? Sounds like it if he's eating. Can't see his tail.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to put this PC away a minute so I can clear the decks. Clear the Anton deck. So I think the overall consensus, if I could even say it, is that this is actually quite a nice little PC, I think. It's definitely got a little bit of speed, which is kind of nice. And it hasn't cost an absolute fortune, which is also very nice. And it doesn't use a lot of electricity, which if you're in the UK is also very nice. Now the only thing is, hopefully I can put the front panel on. Hopefully I can convince somebody that this is the PC for them for Christmas. So I can clear some more room and get on and build something else. And let that magic roundabout continue. Right, so that is that and that. Oh, I do feel somewhat vindicated now in my choice of buying that MSI board. I was a little bit, not concerned, but a little bit aware that it might not have been the best decision. That's got to go in the front room in a minute.
I know it has, that's why I'm moving it out of my way.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not moving it right in.
I can stretch now. I have been looking at some IKEA desks today, which are basically the same as these, but a little bit wider. So they can come out to here. So hopefully, I think it comes out to there. Just to give you a little bit more width. I'm not going to say anything else about more width, because Bob will start getting all emotional.
Especially when he's already got Michelle Thorne on his mind.
Yeah. Michelle Thorne. Went to school with her. Not literally, but...
Well, that's how he knows her. Because you told him that.
Yeah. High MPSUs have a screen. They do. Your neck's right now, I think. That's worked well, actually. I had a real bad headache over my eye. Like, to the point of I was almost going to say, right, I'm not doing a stream. Sod it, I can't cope.
Was it your remedy, though?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I took a homeopathic remedy and drank some water, and actually, not bad. Not bad at all. Happy days. Where am I going to put that?
Oh. No, don't sleep on your back, Mike.
No.
Snoring up on your side.
I do. Alessa says this is a nice PC. Thank you. Muckler says, Mike, do you think you could stream on Twitch too at the same time? Possibly. Possibly. I've always considered doing that on Twitch, but I don't know. I don't know whether our content is Twitch friendly, really. Yeah, I know there's people that do. I know Thermaltake Mike for Thermaltake US. They stream on Twitch, and I quite often watch that on a Wednesday night. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure. Twitch is one of those weird things, and I don't understand. Like, I guess people do make money from Twitch, but I don't really understand how it all works. And the whole streaming thing, to be honest with you, is a little bit beyond me. I just fumble along however I'm doing. So when I see people on Twitch and they've got all these crazy things going on, and it's like, wow, I don't understand any of that. Very good. David Under says MSI for the win always. Can't beat a bit of MSI. You probably noticed actually I've got a long sleeve Mike's Unboxing t-shirt on, but it isn't actually. This is a long sleeve thermal t-shirt, which I've got underneath my Mike's Unboxing t-shirt. That is how cold it's been here. David Under says IKEA is too expensive here. IKEA here is known, well, yeah, IKEA is a kind of weird one. It's mostly known like if you're a cheapskate, or maybe you've just got a flat or a house and you're renting it out, you put IKEA furniture in because it's basically cheap and easy to replace. But they do have some stuff at IKEA which is also quite expensive as well. So they kind of, at least for the UK market, there's a lot of products which straddle the kind of the budget market all the way through to the premium market, depending on what you want. David Underhill says homeopathy is fraud. Homeopathy is one of those things which has always perplexed me, because I've generally found it to be very useful, and I try to avoid mainstream stuff like paracetamol and ibuprofen and all that kind of stuff. I try to avoid all that stuff because if you're someone who suffers of any kind of toxicity of your liver or your kidneys, taking either paracetamol or ibuprofen or aspirin will get rid of the symptoms or the problems you're having at that point, but you'll suffer later on because your kidneys and your liver and whatever have got to flush that crap out because it's not designed to be in you. So you kind of, I'm trying to think of an analogy. It's basically a band-aid, but imagine ripping off that band-aid when you're not healed. It's kind of what you're doing by taking that stuff, or at least in my opinion. I'm not a doctor, I don't know. I know that I went through a time in my younger life where if ever I had any sort of ache or pains, immediately I'll throw in paracetamols and stuff down my neck. And yes, it was great, but I spent years and years of like, oh God, everything hurts, everything aches. So you take more medicine to get rid of the aches and pains. And then eventually it got to the point where it's like, right, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. And I stopped taking them all together. And since then, it's been a lot easier to manage my pain. So, I don't know.
But it's the placebo effect, he says, but who cares what effect it is?
Yeah, I don't care. If someone said you have the placebo effect of having lots of hair on your head, and I did have lots of hair on my head, I don't care if it's just a placebo. It's there. I don't care.
And also, we use it on the cats a lot.
Yeah.
We've had
true, actually,
abscesses burst and like what we want them to do.
Yeah.
And heal.
That is very true.
And they don't know you're giving them to them. But we have seen results from it. But obviously, we don't need it at the moment.
Dutch Jan says, if it becomes a medical show now, it couldn't get any crazier. I know. Mike Rockburn says, lol, and the petrochemical medical industry isn't fraud. That is quite a good counter argument, to be honest.
You sound like your dad then.
There is a lot of money in the healthcare industry to be made. David Underhill says, I found the easiest way to get rid of my headache, and that was to divorce her. Boom. Expensive business.
Mark Berry, it's the same as taking Imodium for the shits. Just go with the flow.
Yeah. Taking Imodium if you've got a bad stomach is basically
Store those toxins.
like if you've got an engine leak, put sawdust in your engine. Yes, it won't leak anymore, but it's probably not very good.
No, that's not very good for you out.
It's not a very good analogy, no. No.
Because you don't want
It's basically like putting your thumb up your butt. To be honest with you, a lot of medical stuff on the market is designed and pushed towards you of being the fact that you shouldn't take time off work. If you don't feel well, if you've got a headache or a sore throat or whatever is wrong with you, you should not stay at home. You should buy pharmaceuticals and get your stupid ass into work. That is basically what they're selling stuff for. Ordinary Juice says, prune juice daily keeps my pipes working well. Imodium, more like concrete. Yeah, can be. Ira Wolfman says, I have 2 IKEAs. Belfast is 2 hours away and Dublin is 3 hours away minus traffic. We're quite lucky here because in Bristol we have one in central Bristol which is somewhere about 7 or 8 miles away, so it's not very far, although it's through the city centre, so it's like the traffic isn't great. Alternatively, the next nearest IKEA for us is in Cardiff, which is about 50 miles away, somewhere between 40 and 50 miles, so it's like an hour's journey.
To get there, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah, it's getting into Bristol city centre on a bad day is going to be at least half an hour. Getting to Cardiff is about an hour.
And that's with bad traffic.
And that's probably with reasonable traffic.
Reasonable, yeah, I suppose.
Mike says, exactly, it just alleviates symptoms. It doesn't directly address them. There is no profit in a cure.
You're not allowed to say cure.
You're not allowed to say, yeah, you got to say cure with a K. Mookie says, does IKEA deliver? Yes, they do. We wanted, well, the desks I was looking at, basically the replacements of these.
So just the tops?
Just the tops, reusing the legs. These were, I think the desks were 30 quid each, I think. So I need 2 of them, one for this side, one for that side. And they wanted, I think it was £25 delivery or £35 delivery.
25.
I think it's 25, wasn't it? Yeah, £25 is the minimum delivery fee.
For large items.
For larger stuff. I think if you get smaller stuff, they put it like in a delivery or something.
Imagine them coming over on a drone tabletop.
Oh God, yeah. James says, IKEA delivered my mattress. Did you have to put it together yourself? Did you have to sew it up? Put the springs in?
Little pictures.
Little pictures of someone going,
Arrows of springs.
spring, here, 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 and here.
Turn it round. Spring, here, 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 here.
Irie says, I'll get a man in a van to deliver my IKEA stuff. Rick H says, I'd use that money for petrol. Dutch Jan, rich people don't buy from IKEA, but smart people do. Quote from Zetlan. Zelatan? Zeltan. Zotan.
I wonder how much a man in a van would cost.
A man in a van would probably cost you 40 quid.
You reckon?
Yeah, because it's an hour, isn't it? Most contractors or tradesmen will charge 40 quid. I wouldn't mind going to IKEA and having some dinner there.
No, I don't want to eat there.
Wasn't too bad.
Didn't they find shit in their cakes?
You find that in pretty much anything. if you look hard enough. Ah, AC Milan player. Gotcha. Mookie says furniture via Amazon is not good. I think with Amazon, a lot of their stuff is like anything else on Amazon. You get such a wide range of stuff. There could be good stuff. There could be bad stuff. IKEA stuff, I would say, isn't necessarily great, but it's not awful either. It's somewhere kind of in between. So very much like what MFI was. There used to be a company called MFI in the UK. Which we often said made for effing idiots, but it was. I can't think what it was. Basically, yeah, early days IKEA. So there was a couple of key brands they had there, which were kind of successful brands in their own right. But MFI bought the name, so then they would produce furniture under that name, but cheaper, and it was okay. But it was kind of known as being kind of cheap and cheerful, the IKEA of its day. But yeah, I think IKEA, I'm not entirely sure I approve of IKEA's ethics in general, but yeah, I think it's so good. It's okay. Ira Wolfman says, I feel like I'm in a different chat to Mike. Oh, you're definitely here. David Andrews says, a bit like MG cars now. Yes, exactly that. Ugh. And arguably you could say like Jaguar, when Jaguars are basically Fords, just with different badges on, effectively.
Tell Rick to Google it.
Yeah. Rick, Google IKEA and feces and cakes at the same time, and you'll come up with what we know about Jaguar. Jaguar. I always wanted a Jag. I still do, really. I probably will get one at some point.
You test drive one and took me to work in it.
I did test drive one, yeah, and took Kath to work.
Why was it? What was wrong with our car?
I don't know.
It fitted in nicely.
Yeah. Right. Anyway, I think I've made rung this out as much as I possibly can. I think that's pretty much going to be it. Yes. It is getting to that time. I'm thinking now I've got to get up in the morning and go to work. That's going to be fun. At the moment here in the UK, for those of you who are outside of the UK, where there's 2 storms, and I don't know why they keep on naming storms. Rather than just saying it's weather and winter, now they have to name everything. So it's like having a pet. So it's like, oh, you've got Storm Ellen or Fred or whatever coming up, which is, yeah, kind of pointless. It's like, yes, you have weather again. It's going to be windy. And actually today, I actually had to go out in the garden because the felt roof on our shed actually tore off because it needs replacing. It really needs replacing. I should just order myself a couple of rolls of felt and just get up there and just fix it, but never enough time to do anything. But
I fancy like a real roof on it, like a bit of
I want to do shingle roof on it.
Oh, shingles would be cool.
That would be good, but I don't know how I'd do it or how to reinforce the roof so it's able to take that weight because it's only a shitty shed.
And a little
Shitty shed. Never name the storms as Sharon and Neville. No, they don't. They always come up with like slightly unusual names, like Eleanor or Felix. Never Storm Mike. Anyway. Right, I'm going to call it a night because I'm just waffling on like a lunatic now. So hopefully you've enjoyed the stream. If you have, smash the like button. You know, it makes sense. I'm still looking at the chat on the wrong side of the screen. I shouldn't do that. Now I'm over this side. I thought something was very wrong, very off. It didn't make sense what was going on. Anyway, yes, thank you all very much for joining us. Hopefully you've had a fantastic weekend and what's left of it to go tomorrow as well. Monday video. What is out on Monday? Monday's video. Not too sure what's out on Monday, but we've got some pretty decent videos in the pipeline, so obviously stay tuned for more videos. I'm not too sure if we're going to do anything special for Christmas or anything like that, kind of low-key stuff. Although hopefully we have placed the order for the Mike's Unboxing 100,000k subscriber plaque, which has been ordered, so you never know, that may turn up soon. Some of you may have already noticed that we have got the tick box next to our name now, so when we reply there's a little tick on the end to say that we are actually verified and we are a thing, we're people, we are who we say we are. That's a nice little touch. I like the tick on the end, that's pretty cool. So yes, thank you all so much for watching. I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Have a great weekend everybody, and thanks for your kindness and continued support. You're all absolutely wonderful. Don't forget, if you want to join us in chat, probably not me because I'm going to be going to bed very shortly, but if you want to talk to other people, Discord link is in the chat right now. And also, paying the bills, well, not that we make much money from it, but premium CD keys. Don't forget, if you want your Windows licenses, you can pick them up cheaper than pretty much any other YouTuber that I've seen on this platform. So if you want to save some money and you want to help support the channel in a very small way, then you can use the link Mike's Unboxing, premiumcdkeys.com/Mike's Unboxing, and you can use discount code Mike's Unboxing to get a further discount on an already ridiculously cheap price.
Tell Ugly Bob my mum lolled at his joke about the corned beef.
Ugly Bob.
Was it Ugly Bob?
Kath's mum laughed at the joke. I've got to tell you.
High rates.
Irie Wolfman says, I just realised mine was way behind. Just press live. Oh, never mind. Well, it's time for us to go now. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week for another episode of crazy stuff that goes on here at Mike's Unboxing. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next week. Cheerio.